Hi, Lori. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you for being here. Greatly appreciate you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to change my shirt really quick and then I'll get on here, but we'll just let people trickle on in and I'll get started promptly at 7:30 or
Okay.
6:30, excuse me. Hi, Amy. Welcome, welcome.
On the video now or later?
Um, you can turn your video on now just to kind of check it.
Okay.
I'm glad your name looks good. Perfect. Look gorgeous, everybody.
Oh,
Thank
please.
you.
I've got a t-shirt. Don't tell. But I am drinking out of my Waterford glass. My friend makes fun of me here.
I love it. Gorgeous crystal stemware.
Absolutely. I deserve it. What the hell?
Yes, you do. And I'm just working on getting my slides up here.
My light just went dim. Hang on. What the heck?
Okay. Yeah, and you guys can turn yours off. Let's see. Participants are trickling in and we have
Yeah.
about 50 people. I think we ended up with about 400 registrants today.
Oh, awesome.
All
Oh,
right,
yeah.
ladies, give me
So
two
turn
seconds.
it off for now.
Yeah, you guys can turn yours off for now. And I'll
All
be,
right. And you gave us ability to pull up a PowerPoint.
yeah, let me double check that. Yes, you can share.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm
Sounds
gonna mute myself too.
Lori. Hello, Sade.
Hey,
Good to see you.
yeah, good to see you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh yes, most definitely. It was something I felt so important to follow up with. You
Yeah.
know, like after the whole thing, I just said, you know what, I really want to reach more hygienists. I really want them to feel some positivity after, right? So I'm so glad that you were willing to do a follow-up with people.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
we are not live just yet. We
Oh,
are
good.
I'm gonna start the webinar exactly right now. Okay.
I think you have a few other people on tonight too.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, good, 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 good.
They can unmute whenever they're ready. I'm gonna go ahead and start it. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to part 2 of the oral preventative assistance scaling in Arizona super gingerly with a couple hundred hours of education. A lot of people felt very undermined and even more undervalued from the last conversation. And the feedback came back that there wasn't enough sensitivity to how people are affected by this, our dental hygiene community. And I wanted that event to be very informational, very, how do I say, very fair to both sides. I was trying to play devil's advocate and mediator. In favor of keeping a high value hygienist in their practice and who are not going to be or who are not going to drop their standards of care and really value a hygienist in the practice. I'm going to drop the link into the chat box. So I have that ready for you guys. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to drop that link for you guys now. And I told myself last time I was going to have that link ready to go. So let me get that for you guys. So we're just going to start off for the first 5 minutes, just letting everybody trickle in, letting everybody sign in. I know we have people coming in from maybe you're driving home. So let's see. And can you guys tell me, where are you here from? Where are you guys joining from? Alabama. Thank you, Alabama. Illinois. It's late for you guys. Alberta, Arizona, Virginia. Oh my God. We have so much support around the country. It's beautiful.
It is.
Thank you. And we have, so I have that link going in the chat. We have Lori McNamara, a past president of the Illinois Dental Hygiene Association, is with us tonight. I am Elaine, your course moderator. I'm the owner and founder of Director of Education for Dental Laser Integrations. So I'll be the one kind of going back and forth and introducing the panelists. We have Bethany Montoya she is amazing. If you can go to her social media, you're going to see that she just understands the pulse of the dental hygiene community. Her is the human RDH or human RDH. And every time I go to her page, she's just speaking value to how we feel as hygienists and just real world, just real talk. So I really enjoy her. We have Jennifer V of Laser Edge Wellness Med Spa. She's hygienist turned laser med spa. We have Sarah Hornsby, who's a very well-known myofunctional therapist in the myo community and beyond, in the ENT community, in the laser dentistry community. So she's very, very well known. We have Dr. Happy. She's a local pediatric dentist who has also now expanded her scope of services and is very much taking advantage of our scope of practice as it broadens for dentists as well. We can now administer Botox in terms of cosmetic purposes, not just for therapeutic management. So that was a big win for us in Arizona as well. And we have Sade Morale. She's an advanced RDH practitioner in California, and she also owns her own business. She actually owns multiple businesses, and she's very inspiring. So I'm very excited to have her. We have Amy Lacuye of Bridge the Gap Consulting. Now she is a practice owner here in Arizona, and she's going to be sharing with us what we need to know as practice owners and how to get started with that. And then we have Valerie Brady. I'm so grateful that Valerie was able to come back, make time, and really highlight all the advances and advantages that we have as providers here in the state of Arizona. So I'm going to put that link in the chat. So housekeeping items. And I'll bring you up, Lori, in about 5 minutes, okay? So housekeeping, guys, if you can please sign in before the end of the program. So I'll be throwing that link in the chat throughout the night, and I'll make sure that you guys get your CEs right away. So that is scheduled to go out through the Zoom automation, okay? This is going to go out through the Zoom automation, so you can just click on that link and you will have your certificate right there. It's scheduled for 24 hours. So please check your email, check that we're not going to spam or trash your promotions, okay? So that you guys have that. I set it to 1 day today so that you guys can get your CEs right away. And as always, if it's 48 hours and you don't see it in there, please feel free to reach out to us. So you'll get that to the Zoom link that you registered with. And let me know if you guys have any questions. I definitely want you guys to be signing in before 9 o'clock, okay? So please don't try to sign in the chat. You all have to scan that QR code, click that link that I just posted, and I'll keep posting it. And my dental hygiene sisters and brothers, thank you. Love that there's so many hygienists in here. Yes. And we're going to have some Q&A along the way. So please make sure that you guys have some questions ready, and email me some questions too. And what else do you guys want to learn? What else do you guys want to hear about in these study clubs? Because we're going to keep having them, and we're going to keep these discussions going. And a lot of these panelists that are on tonight, we have ongoing plans to keep providing you value, keep making these courses accessible. And can I ask you guys, who's joined us before? Who was here for the first one? Would love to hear. Hello, Lori was here for the first one. Yes. Sade, you were here for the first one. I know that for sure. Valerie was here for the first one. Who else? Yes. Thank you guys for coming back and helping us continue this discussion. And so this time, I'm excited because now we're issuing CE credits outside of the standard category of like clinical science and emerging technology. This CE is going to be categorized under emerging education and therapies, self-improvement, and practice management and human relations. So I am extremely excited to be able to be offering more professional development for you guys. Okay, so I'm really grateful because I'm myself continuing to evolve at every stage of my life. That's what I strive for. I'm not perfect, and I've had a lot of up and downs in my career. So by me bringing on this platform, opening that up so that we can share and learn and grow together. So thank you guys. And without further ado, so we can stay right on time, I'm going to be bringing Miss Lori McNamara, past president of the Illinois Dental Hygiene Association. Miss Lori, please take it away. And if you can go ahead and unmute Miss Lori.
Right, I'm going to share my screen, hopefully.
Let's stop share.
All right, can you see my slides?
Not just yet.
Can you see it now?
Um, no, I just see the,
All right, let me try it again because we probably did it at the same time.
there we go. I see your slide.
Perfect. All right. The slides are just kind of there for you guys to look at and for me to talk about. So, like Elaine said, my name is Lori McNamara. I am the immediate past president of Illinois. And I know that everybody in Arizona and throughout the country is very concerned about the OPAs and what is happening around the country regarding dental hygiene. I'm going to tell you what has happened with us. We've actually had this since 2015. So we've had dental assistants coronally scaling for 10 years now. And the way it started out was in Illinois, this is the home of American Dental Association and the American Dental Hygienists Association. So Illinois has routinely been slower to adapt to things and not very, they want to set the example for the rest of the country, basically. So we do not have a lot in our scope of practice as compared to like Colorado and some of the other states. Anything that we want to be added for dental hygiene, we have to fight, and it's usually a give and take. So in 2015, they brought up a law or they brought a bill forward that ultimately got passed for dental assistants to coronally scale. And there were guidelines to this. It was only for children 12 and under. The dental assistant had to be certified in coronal polishing before they were eligible. Dental assistant also had to have worked at least 2,000 hours as a dental assistant before they were eligible to take the coronal scaling. Patients were 12 and under. They were either uninsured or on Medicaid or at 200% federal poverty level. Now, these classes popped up and they only had to take 16-hour course. So basically, it was a weekend course for the dental assistants to go and learn how to coronally scale. Certification for this, for them to coronally scale is supplied through continuing education classes or agencies that have been approved by the Illinois Department of Finance and Professional Regulation. That is who administers and regulates our hygiene license and the dental license and the Dental Practice Act. And they also have to be approved by the Illinois Board of Dentistry to provide the course. So they would go to the BOD and present what it is that they want to teach the students for the certification, and the Board of Dentistry would ultimately decide, okay, you can, or no, you can't. In 2015, we ended up having to bow to the Illinois State Dental Society because we wanted to have public health dental hygienists. So we were able to get that passed also and put into our scope of practice, put in the Practice Act. For us to be PhDHs in Illinois, we need to take a total of 42 hours. So it's 32 hours of lecture, and they determined, and it took about 5 years for the rules and for the committee to come to an agreement on what the PhDH had to do. So we have to take 5 hours of pedo, 5 hours of geriatric, 5 hours of farm, 5 hours of oral path, 5 hours of multiple things, couple hours of medical record keeping. And then after we take these 32 hours, then we take an 8-hour review, take a test, and then get the certification. Once we have our certification, every year we have to take 4 CEs In addition to the 12 we are required for our license, and it has to be in one of those topics that we had to take for PhDH. Every year, a PhDH, if they are working as a public health dental hygienist, has to file a report to the Illinois Department of Public Health as to how many patients we've seen and the location and the copy of the collaborative agreement with the dentist. So that was in 2015. In 2023, the Illinois State Dental Society put forth an amendment to the dental assistants coronally scaling because they wanted to increase the age to 18. So we fought that. The age was increased to 17. And the Illinois Dental Hygienists Association, we pushed for more hours because now they were seeing teenagers. And believe me, we fought this. We had witness slips, over 1,000 witness slips from hygienists and from the public that were opposing this. And they only had, because I just looked it up a couple days ago, they only had about 200 that were in favor of this. So there was definitely public concern about this going up to the age of 17, because as hygienists, we know what we are going to see on some of these teenagers. The dental assistants can only coronally scale on healthy mouths too, but I don't know who determines that in the office when there's an assistant there. So now the courses are for 32 hours. So it's double the original. The age is higher and the eligibility changed. It's still Medicaid or uninsured or 300% federal poverty level. And if you look at the federal poverty level chart, a family of four making about $80,000 would qualify for dental assistance to coronally scale. Now, in 2023, also for public health dental hygienists, we were pretty pigeonholed into where we could go. So we had promoted a bill also to be able to go into skilled nursing facilities and prisons with our collaborative agreement with the dentist. Before that, we were only really able to go into school situations and very limited other locations. So are you guys kind of seeing a pattern here? Currently, so now that that's happened, currently what we're seeing in the state, and the reason I told you about the PhDHs is because every year we turn in our paperwork to the Illinois Department of Public Health and state that we have seen this many children as a PhDH working with the collaborative agreement with the dentist. They totally fought us on PhDH because of patient safety. Because we would go into skilled nursing homes and it would not be safe for the patients because we don't have a more accurate medical history or anything like that. So they have been keeping track of public health dental hygienists in Illinois since the first graduating class, which was in 2020, or the first certified class, which was 2020. So PhDHs have been active for 5 years, and we have treated almost 25,000 people that would not have been seen by dentists because they are in skilled nursing facilities or they are in schools that would not be going to dentists. We have a serious issue with dentists that accept Medicaid. And even though I live outside of Chicago, it's very hard to find a dentist. So now the dental assistants that are certified in coronal scaling, there is questions raised about these actual classes. We know of one continuing education program that does the certification, and she has it in a hotel in a conference room, and they have typodonts, and they're on the bars, and they're attached to a table. We also know that she did not spend the entire 16 hours. We doubt she's spending the entire 32 hours. She is not transparent with her work or what her curriculum is for this certification. There is no follow-up. We have no idea how many dental assistants in Illinois are certified to coronally scale. We do not get the information from any of these continuing ed courses that offer it. We do not get any information. They do not have to report to IDPH, the Illinois Department of Public Health, or to anybody. And the dental assistants that had taken the 16-hour classes are supposed to take an additional 16. They were not grandfathered in, and we don't know if any of them have followed up on it. So what is happening right now is that there are multiple offices that have assistants scaling children and adults, and they're not following the criteria, and we don't know if they have a coronal scaling certification. Being that I'm involved in Illinois Dental Hygienists Association, we get calls from patients that went to an office that they did not know it was an assistant, or they do know they don't meet the criteria because they're familiar, and they are not asked. I have yet to see a dental office that will ask somebody what their income is to see if they qualify for an assistant coronally scaling. I have a student that is 21 and he was scaled by a dental assistant. So we know that there are multiple dentists that are not following the Dental Practice Act on this, and we are trying to figure out what to do about this right now. So this x-ray has been around. This is a 9-year-old boy. You can see the permanent teeth. You can see the resorption of the root surfaces, and look at the calculus. Personally, I worked in public health for 25 years, and I have scaled calculus off of 3-year-olds. I have done perio on teenagers in high schools, and I'm just really concerned about what the future is. But we are blind in Illinois as to how many assistants are actually doing this. I'm starting to hear from sales reps how they go into offices, and the assistants are like, well, yeah, we don't have a hygienist here. We're basically the hygienists. We're doing the cleanings. And it's just very concerning. This is my last slide, and I am a big advocate of education because, like I said, working in public health for 25 years, the dental IQ of the public is not high. They do not know the difference between a hygienist and a dental assistant. They don't know what we do. They just go in, get the work done, and get out of Dodge. So I teach dental hygiene at a community college, and I am pounding it in their heads that they need to introduce themselves to the patient as a registered dental hygienist. Have those licenses out. That's part of the Practice Act, but have it where you're working and prominently displayed, and be proud about your profession. And then talk to the patients. I'm a dental hygienist. I took 3 classes to be here. I that, so that they can identify you in the office, and they know that a dental hygienist is cleaning their teeth. Because in Illinois, we are having the dentist, we cannot bill in Illinois. So the dentist is the provider on all the insurance forms. And you can bet that when an assistant is coronally scaling on a child, it is the same amount as a hygienist doing it.
Yeah.
So are there any questions?
There was one question of who is she that you're referring to?
There are a couple hygienists that do offer continuing ed classes. If you live in Illinois, you have probably seen the brochures.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say any names.
I know there's some internet sleuths in here that can
Yeah, I'm sure that they can. Um, there's some that, they work with us, and there's some that don't. And when somebody isn't transparent on what they're teaching, you kind of wonder why.
uh,
So we do have, which is interesting too, and I recommend everybody in every state kind of do some Googling and look and see what is offered for assistance in your state. In Illinois, we also obviously have coronal polishing and we have sealants. Well, not too long ago, I was just looking around at things to see who offers what, and Delta Dental of Illinois very nicely has virtual classes for coronal polishing and for sealants that they work with the dentist with. So the typodonts are sent to the dental assistants. They put a sealant on it and then they mail it back. So you tell me how they would be able to do an effective job. Now, I don't know how many assistants do sealants. Again, we report if we sneeze as a dental hygienist, as a public health dental hygienist. We have no idea what's going on with assistants. So I'm being very transparent about it to everybody because this is something that you're all going to be seeing. I really want you to be aware. I know Kansas has it. Missouri is doing a pilot for OPAs. I just want you guys to look and see what's out there and start preparing for it. It hasn't been like what I can say about Arizona. You guys at least got them having 120 hours and you know what's going on. We have no idea in Illinois how many assistants are currently scaling. I don't know any assistant that signed up for it. It's the dentists that are pushing it, just like the what ADA came out with in November for the dental students to get a 1-year hygiene license. That was a bill that came through this year and we fought it. And the Department of Public Health didn't want it, or the Department of Financial and Professional Regulation didn't want to go through the paperwork of doing a temporary license for students, for dental students. So just be cognizant of everything and pay attention because these things are going to come up. I know other states are passing foreign trained dentists to do hygiene. Our dental society is very opposed to dental therapists, but it's okay for an assistant to do hygiene work. 900 clinical hours at my school and 32 hours of talk and clinical in a weekend, 2 weekend class. So, any questions?
I would like to add that I've worked with foreign trained dentists and I've taught abroad and I've spoken abroad and um, my rationale, my reasoning for not being so worried about any, foreign trained dentist taking my position is because there's an acumen, and there's an etiquette and there's a standard of care that we are taught here, and I don't want to sound I don't want to sound insensitive again, but there's a difference between kind of first world dentistry and second world, third world dentistry. And many programs abroad are really just focused on emergency care. So even though they had a dental designation and a dental degree from another country, that curriculum may not have covered, of course, perio, preventative care, and things like that. So I still feel like it's an even playing field. Does anybody want to ask another question?
Yeah, I do.
Please.
Okay, can I respond to Elaine real quick first
Oh, yes.
about the foreign trained dentists? So in the hygiene program that I am an adjunct faculty at, we have foreign trained dentists that come and take our program, go through our program. And we ask them, would you have been able to just take the boards and become a hygienist in our country, in our state? And they're like, no, we did not know so much of this information. And we have had foreign trained dentists come and take boards thinking that they could just jump right in, and they fail. So we've had multiple dentists come through our program, and what they're learning is the restorative and the fine motor skills of the carving, and the the dental schools in our area only teach about 2 weeks of perio, unless they're going to spare lots. The dentists that do their own prophies, I usually cringe. I had a dentist that when I was probably about 5 years out of school, I worked for him, and his idea of a prophy was taking the Cavitron, going around and polishing and being done in 20 minutes. And then they would come back in 6 months. He never went sub.
Yeah.
And he would have the audacity to say to me, how can you be doing this all day long? It's so boring. And, they just don't have the full, they're very smart. No, no disrespect to the dentists. And my God, the assistants that I've worked with are phenomenal. It's the whole thing is the education. The patients do not know what they're getting. They're getting substandard care. I kind of flipped them through here and I saw why is this children? That's a good question. Why are children getting substandard care? We've been asking that for years. Having healthcare, having medical and dental is not a privilege, it's a right. And we see in our hygiene clinic at school, we see so many people that come through that don't know where to go for restorative because there's no dentist in our West suburban Chicagoland area that will see them.
Yeah. And was there a question?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Hi. So really it's more like a statement. I do feel that there might be some means of legality here due to it seems like there might be like the do no harm law. I feel like it might be violating, especially looking at those x-rays. And then also the antitrust law with hygienists, it seems to be compromised. So I do feel like there might be some means to be looking into some lawyers. It does seem that they are crossing some lines here. This is what it looks like to me, and I think it would be worth looking into. It's just more of a statement, really. My
Yeah.
thought. Mhm.
In 2023, I said earlier when I was showing the slide that we had over 1,000 witness slips and that were opposing it. We had gone and testified to the board, to the committee for licensed activities through our senators, through legislation, and talked about PHDH and the importance. And I was a person that testified, and I brought up a family member and why PHDHs needed to get into skilled nursing homes. And when you see that many witness slips come through and that many legislators got calls and stuff opposing this, how did it pass?
Yeah.
How did it pass?
Yeah,
Um,
that's a great question. We actually have a hygienist turned lawyer out here, and I'm constantly picking her brain, but she actually went up against the board here multiple times. So it does seem like potentially some actual law action taking. Yes, and financials would help really. And then also I really loved what you said because it's something also that I studied. I would pull up the dentist their curriculum and see how much time they actually spent in hygiene on hygiene in hygiene school versus what we do, and it's substantially more. And this is like just complete evidence that I do feel that should be re brought back to the light because it's just facts. We spend a lot more time in dental hygiene. They literally don't know dental hygiene. I think you guys have some cases there and some wiggle room, but I think you're going to need some lawyers. But I do feel,
in members and money.
yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking here. Assistants, no, they cannot use ultrasonic scalers. They can only use hand instruments and they can only go above the gum line. So I don't know what they're teaching. I would love to be able to go in and, be a fly on the wall. I'm assuming sickles. I don't know about universal. Um, let's see. Yeah, that was asked multiple times. So no, they cannot. Where I see in Arizona, they can, or they will be able to, and they'll be doing not just children, they'll be doing it adults, correct?
Anybody that is deemed healthy and
Right. So who's gonna check that?
and it sounds like gingivitis prophy patients as well. And I'm so grateful Valerie came back because she's gonna reiterate, what the proviso is and what that means. So thank you so much, Lori, for loaning your time and being so generous with us. And Lori, how long can you stay on with us? Because I
I'll
know.
hang out.
Okay, so interact with Lori in the chat. Everybody, thank you guys for being very communicative in the chats. Next, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Miss Bethany. I just get so happy when I see hers because, again, it takes a lot of understanding to really speak to the mind of a hygienist and not just what we think, how we feel and what we go through in the day to day. So, very grateful for Bethany to be here tonight. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and I'll let you share.
Okay. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you for having me. This has been already just such a good conversation, and I'm just honored to be here and to be a part of it. Um, I only have one slide that I want to keep up in the background. Can you see it?
Yes.
That is it.
Okay. Okay. So, Bethany, when I reached out to you because you have a voice. You are very articulate. You know how to express thought to words. And a lot of people resonate with the messages and the challenges that you're highlighting in the profession. And the reason why I asked you to join us tonight is because you've been able to package your creativity, your innovation, your ability, again, to write. And I've seen you on multiple speaking engagements, writing multiple articles. You have a massive social media following, and now you've ventured to create the Texas Alliance. Can you tell us a little bit about where where this inspiration comes from, what you stand for, and I would even like to know um, what your thoughts are on Arizona OPA, and do you see Texas going in that direction?
Sure. Yes. Gosh, thank you, Elaine, for all of your kind words. It means so much. And it's really just an honor for me to be here in, a virtual setting with so many amazing colleagues and peers in our profession. And it's funny because like listening to you like talk about like some of the things that I'm doing, I'm just sitting here thinking that the catalyst for a lot of the things that I do now were very painful parts of my life, very painful parts of my profession, where I had hit some sort of wall and I recognized that there was something that I needed to change in order to find happiness and fulfillment. So, if I were to just backtrack a little bit, my first real wall that I hit professionally was during the COVID pandemic. Um, like probably many in the audience tonight, I was one of the hygienists, I don't know how many across the country that during the mandatory shutdown, my employer decided that it was the perfect opportunity to clean house and to get rid of maybe the undesirables in the practice. And I had become one of those people because I had just come back from maternity leave, and I had some boundaries that I was keeping in place. Before I had my youngest, she's 5 now, but before I had her, I was one of those hygienists that I was always overextending myself for my practice. I was coming in early, I was working through lunch, and I was staying late. And that made me a productive clinician, but it also was sending me straight to burnout town. And that kind of all came to a screeching halt during my last pregnancy. And so when I came back from my maternity leave, I really had to work hard to establish some healthier boundaries with my practice. And I was having a lot of struggle there. I was having a lot of time or a lot of hard times trying to get the time that I needed to pump during the day and have a decent lunch and all of that stuff. And so, anyways, um, I also happen to be a more vocal person on my team, and I have never been good at blindly following my leadership. And so sometimes, our leadership would direct the team to do one thing, and I would just ask simple questions because I wanted to understand the situation. I wanted to understand why this was being asked of me. And I came to learn that every time I asked questions, those were seen as challenges. And so, anyways, I was let go during the pandemic and I was absolutely devastated. I couldn't believe that I was somebody that got fired from my job because before that, I was never problematic and I always showed up to work and my patients loved me. I was easy to work with on my team. Um, but I really had to start thinking about what I wanted to do with my career to maybe claim a little bit more control over my time and my energy and my income. And so I ended up reaching out to a complete stranger on Facebook after some time, and I asked her if she had any advice for me because I was really wanting to try something different and expand my career. And she asked me if I had ever considered writing for publication. And I told her yes. And she asked if I had actually ever done it. And I said no. And she said, well, why not? And I said, because I don't think that I would really have an audience. I don't think that anyone would want to hear what I have to say. And she said, that's not true. You have a story that many people, in our profession would love to hear. And so she challenged me to come up with a short list of topics that I'm just naturally very passionate about. She said I should try to think of some things, topics that I could sit and hold a conversation with somebody for 10 minutes without having to like prepare a research for it. And so as soon as we got off the phone, I ran and grabbed a notebook and I just started brainstorming, like, what can I write about? And I decided to write my very first article about my experiences getting fired, my experience getting fired, and the lessons I learned from that experience. And I submitted it to RDH magazine and didn't really have many expectations from it. I just kind of had the sigh of relief, like, oh, I tried. I tried to do something. We'll see how it turns out. And to my relief, the magazine really loved the submission and they went ahead and published it. And within days of it going live online, I started receiving a lot of emails from colleagues just telling me that they encountered something similar and, what I had to share really resonated with them. It meant something. And that motivated me to keep writing. So from that moment on, I just started writing a whole bunch. And the more that I submitted articles and the more that I became published, I started getting approached with other opportunities. Companies started reaching out to me asking if I'd be willing to do a product review for them, or they would reach out asking if I was a speaker. And at the time, I was not, but I just said yes to everything because I figured I wouldn't know if I liked it or not unless I tried it. So after just, continuing to say yes to things all these years later, that's kind of how my career expanded to the point that it is now. And even with my social media, I feel incredibly blessed and incredibly humbled with the platform that I have because about this time last year, I was working in a dental sleep medicine practice. I'd been there for 2 years, and I thought that that was my final destination. I was really happy with the work that I was doing. I thought it was really cool for a hygienist like myself to be able to work in a specialty where I was serving my patients in a different way. Um, but the the work environment that I was in wasn't great. My practice manager wasn't very happy with the fact that I did have income from outside of the practice and that I had other things going on. So at first, it was just kind of a point of contention. But after a while, it really was a real resentment that was being held against me. And so I decided that it was time for me to move on from that practice. And so about this time last year, I was having this conversation with my husband, and I was telling him, I think my season at this practice has ended, and I think my season in this specialty probably has ended too, because it's the only specialty practice like this in my area, and I don't know what to do. And my husband had said, Bethany, you're in business school right now. You're, halfway through an MBA degree. You don't have to stay in dentistry. Why don't you think about moving on and doing something else? You could, like, the sky's the limit. And I remember in that moment, I got really emotional. And I told him that I really felt that I was supposed to be here in dental hygiene. And I didn't know for what reason. I didn't know what was going to happen in the future, but I really felt like I had something to give to this profession. And so I made the decision to go back into traditional hygiene. I started temping for a while, and then I ended up finding a part-time home at a really great office. But as soon as I started seeing patients again in general dentistry, I just started getting hit with all of this inspiration for my social media. I started to experience, I came in with a fresh set of eyes again, and each patient experience I was having, I just started getting all these ideas like, oh my gosh, I could make a whole post about this. Like I have something that I would love to share with my audience. And it's just amazing because the more that I started to do that, I could just see that my audience, they really appreciated that. And just in that time, in the past 10 or 11 months since I've been back in traditional hygiene, my audience, my follower base has grown tremendously. And so I'm super grateful for that. Um, I am a big advocate for writing and getting published. I have an editorial director position with Dentistry IQ, which is a sister publication of RDH magazine. And part of my role with Dentistry IQ is I recruit and I mentor new writers, people who are wanting to get published. And so if anyone in the audience tonight is thinking about that, maybe you've had that dream, maybe you've talked yourself out of it, maybe like I did years ago, I'm here to encourage you, to tell you that you don't have to have a certain level of education to be a published writer. You don't have to have this big platform or a list of letters after your name. All you really need to have is a license to practice, some clinical experience, and a story to share with our colleagues. And that right there is enough. And so um, reach out to me in the chat if you'd like to connect. And once I get finished talking here, I'll share my contact information on the OPA. So it's interesting because I think we were kind of talking about it during Lori's part of the session, but we're talking about how a lot of these changes that are happening in our industry, a lot of them revolve around money, right? And if we think about our industry as a whole, what we're seeing in our entire country is a commercialization of our healthcare industry. And it started, with our medical industry years and years ago. And I think that dentistry has a tendency to be behind in a lot of regards when it comes to technology, and business and a lot of other things. And so now I think that what we're seeing with dentistry is just a reflection of the larger issue that we're seeing in our US healthcare system. You know that if you get sick and you have to go see a doctor, you have to go to an urgent care, chances are you're going to show up to a place, you're going to wait around in the waiting room for a long time. They're finally going to call your name and you go back there, and that interaction that you have with that healthcare professional feels very impersonal. You feel like just a number. You feel like they're not really listening to you, and maybe they're just kind of jumping to a quick conclusion on just some random medication that you need. And it just doesn't feel personalized. And it's because we've commercialized that part of our society, and a lot of it's revolving around money. And so, with dentistry, with the introduction of the OPA, really what it is the American Dental Association and practice owners, they're asking, how can we do much more with less? How can we increase our profits while paying our workforce significantly less? And the OPA is one avenue to do that. And the disappointing part about it is the way it was designed is our rural communities, our low income, Medicare, high needs individuals are the people right now that are paying the highest price for that, because that is where this expanded functions position is being presented to are people who are already at a socioeconomic disadvantage, and they're going to be receiving a lower standard of care now. So it makes me sad. But the reason that I have this image pulled up on your display here, it's the dental hygiene process of care. And it means something to me, and I want to share it because I want it to mean something to you. I also am an adjunct, a part-time adjunct faculty member at a hygiene school here in my area. It's called Tarrant County College, and it's in the Fort Worth area. I live in North Texas. And so I help in the first year clinic. I'm helping all these new students learn, their basic clinical skills. And right now, our students, they're just getting accustomed to this process of care. But I share it because what happens for many of us is we learn this and then we graduate and we get our license and we join the workforce, and we forget all about this process of care because life gets busy, practices have demands, and we only have so many minutes in an appointment. And for many of us, we don't even get a full 60 minutes for like a preventative visit. And so when your minutes become condensed, we start to have to sacrifice portions of our process of care in order to stay on time. But I want to challenge each and every one of you to, if you haven't already, take a screenshot or something of this. Um, it might seem super simple, but this is what differentiates our profession from any other healthcare profession. Differentiates us from dentists. It differentiates us from assistants, from the oral preventative assistant. There's no other profession that operates by our process of care. And when we're following it, when we're prioritizing it, that's where we're really going to shine. I use this slide a lot in a presentation that I give to students about hygiene, production, and pay. And so when I'm giving the presentation, my goal is to teach students that production is actually not a bad thing. Now, there are times where offices can turn it into a bad thing. They can turn it into a very central focus, and that's not right. But if we're just purely looking at production, all it is it's a measurable way to tell a story of the quality of care that we're providing to our patients. And in a hygienist that's maybe only doing prophy after prophy after prophy, that hygienist production is going to be significantly lower than a hygienist who is diagnosing periodontal disease and providing non-surgical periodontal therapy and maybe like what I do in clinical practice is I also have important conversations with my patients about their occlusal health, and I talk to them about occlusal guards. I take impressions and scans for that, and I've come to an agreement with my practice owner where I receive the production for that if I'm the one that educates the patient on it and kind of follows through with the process.
Great.
Um, but all of these things are what bring value to the work that we do as hygienists. We're simply not made to do prophy after prophy. And if we follow the research on the prevalence of periodontal disease in our country or the prevalence of caries in our patients, we would know right off the bat that if all we're doing is just scraping on teeth all day long, we're not even meeting the needs of our patients. So, an important part to this process of care is the very first step, which is the assessment of our patients. And this is where we're really neglecting the process. The assessment's going to include, not just taking your x-rays, but actually looking at them and collecting some good quality intraoral photos, performing your comprehensive periodontal assessment, performing a caries risk assessment, uh, a comprehensive medical history review. All of those things are giving you the eyes that you need to be able to identify the needs of your patient. And once you have that information, it's going to allow you to execute and follow through with the necessary services that your patients truly need to be healthy. And that just right off the bat is going to make you not only just productive, but it's going to make you a very valuable asset to your practice and to your patients because they see that you're not just a tooth scraper, that you are a very knowledgeable, very versatile provider. And I think that ultimately that's what's going to bring success to hygienists is for us to really focus on the very basics of what we learned in school and to take that into the workforce. So that's
Thank
my
you.
2 cents on that.
So good, Bethany. Thank you so much for highlighting that and such a beautiful way of like expressing it all. And I do believe that Arizona does a very, very good job of following this as a whole. I've had the opportunity to train in all states, and I love teaching in Arizona because the schools are really good. And with our expanded scope of practice, with us being able to give anesthetic practice, without the doctor being in the office, be under indirect supervision, we are then, it's like the other side of the coin, we're expected to do it all. Like
Right,
how much more do you want us to do? And
right,
that's what a lot of us feel like here in Arizona, that we're already squeezed. And now you want double hygiene, and now you want an assistant to do the scaling. It's just there's a lot of uproar around that. So I'm very grateful that you highlighted all those items because there are still some clinicians that feel too rushed and feel too stressed and not supported enough to be able to make, not be in survival mode all day and be able to focus
Right.
on the patients, right?
right.
And then I would love to continue the conversation with you. I know a lot of people in the chat were so interested in how to become, um, more creative with their social media and how to start writing and maybe even how to start presenting and getting asked to come and speak at engagement. So I would love to host you more and more. So hopefully we can stay connected. And does anybody have any questions for Miss Bethany? Okay, and if we can, I'm going to mark down at human RDH
Yes,
on
please do.
Instagram. You guys, please give Bethany a follow. And thank you so much for your time, Bethany. Great.
Absolutely.
So beautifully stated.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And please, and if you can stay on a little bit longer, Bethany, just let us know and she'll be in the chat, you guys engaging. So thank you to everybody who's very active there. Our next presenter is Miss Jennifer Vermeja. She is from Perio to Laser Innovator. Has worked in hygiene and perio for several years, and she's somebody that I've hosted in a CE course called One Bad Apple Spoils the Bunch. Because like Bethany said, she's dealt with some bad apples. I mean, the manager telling you not to go out and make more money outside of your clinical role, that's just beyond me. And so Jennifer has had a history of working with a private practice dentist to bring in insurance, to bring in benefits for the employees, okay, to bring in technology to advance and elevate the profession in the operatory, in the office. So, Miss Jennifer, are you here with us yet? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I don't see Jennifer's on, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's come back to that. Okay. Hopefully I'll be able to give her a beautiful introduction again once she comes back. But let me just make sure. Are you here, Jennifer? Okay, can you come up are you able to sign in so that we can see you as a panelist? Let's see. Let me check. Okay. So Jennifer, I'm gonna re-email you the link to join in and then we'll come back to you, okay? So next, okay, so sorry about that snafu. So we have Sarah Hornsby of Mile Mentor, and I was very excited. I mean, I'm very excited to bring everybody. I'm not playing favorites with anybody, but Sarah is a myofunctional therapist turned course creator, and she obviously created a big vision to be able to bring education to our dental hygiene community. And I was at the Breathe Institute with Dr. Sarush Zaghi. His courses are based in Beverly Hills, California, and he teaches dentists and myofunctional therapists, nurse practitioners, medical doctors, pediatric doctors, the correlation between breathing and occlusion and just brings it all together. And I'll tell you guys, nowhere have I ever been so welcomed and so appreciated and so respected as a dental hygienist in an environment. So as in regard to everything that we're talking about tonight, how to re-empower ourselves, how to refocus, how to see what could be the next step in our clinical practice, what else is available to us, I give you Miss Sarah Hornsby. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Awesome. I have a presentation, just a couple slides. I can share my screen if that works. And we can just jump right in. Yes, I am a dental hygienist and I turned into a myofunctional therapist in 2010. So I will give you guys some background on my story and what I'm doing these days. And let me know, Elaine, can you see my screen? Does that look good? Hopefully. Let me know in the chat if you guys can see. Okay, awesome. So, I kind of took a very different path as a dental hygienist, and I'm excited to share just one other option that's out there that, if you're trying to figure out what is another career path I could go down, I'm talking about the myo pathway or the myofunctional therapy pathway. It's a mouthful, so I just shorten it to myo. But, oh, awesome. We've got Liz. She's a Mile Mentor grad. That's amazing. So I'll just start with my story. Here's some background. So this was my pathway to finding myofunctional therapy, and maybe it will inspire some of you. There is so much in so many of these online dental hygiene Facebook groups and forums, and I hear a lot of people talking about myofunctional therapy. So I'm here to tell you a little bit more about it. I'm happy to answer any questions, but here's my story. So I went to Eastern Washington University. I'm originally from Washington State. I graduated in 2008 and I had a bachelor's degree in dental hygiene. I was from the very beginning looking for something more. I was pretty young. I guess just the feeling of being out of school, I wanted to keep learning. And I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll go to dental school. Maybe I'll get an MBA. And then kind of accidentally, I found a CE course that was, and I needed CE. This was in 2010. And it was in a little tiny ad in the back of RDH magazine. And it was basically talking about, get 30 credits of CE in a weekend and learn about a unique career path for dental hygienists. And I was like, I have never heard of this. I went to a good college. I have a bachelor's degree. Like, this seems really odd that I've never heard of any of it. So long story short, I took this training course. It was a 4-day course over a weekend locally in my area. And I thought, this is pretty interesting. And it's a lot less expensive than going to dental school or getting an MBA. So I'm going to just give it a try. And I have no clue what it is, what it's about. I literally never heard of it. Every dentist I asked was like, that's not a real thing. Times have changed a lot since 2010, I will say. There's much more knowledge and awareness of this field today. So it's a very exciting time to be hearing about it and to learn about it today compared to back in 2010 when I think it was a much more difficult path. So I opened up a practice. It was called Faceology. It still exists today. I run it with a business partner of mine, and you can go to my website, myfaceology.com. It was interesting though, because only though I was a pretty new myofunctional therapist at the time, I had so many other hygienists say, hey, can I come shadow you? What are you doing? How did you get this training? And I started a local study group, which has grown into a training organization that it is today. It's called Myo Mentor. And amazingly, last year in 2014, we just had our 10-year anniversary. So it started off as a little study group with me and like 3 other hygienists. Now it's grown into a full-blown 12-week course. And I've had the incredible opportunity to speak not only nationally, but internationally on these topics. So I teach, I speak, and if you asked me back in 2008, when I graduated dental hygiene school, if I would ever end up down this pathway, I would have just thought you were crazy if you told me the things that I'm doing today with my dental hygiene background. So you can see there, I've spoke for a lot of different organizations, including the Breathe Institute, like Elaine mentioned, Spear Education, that I felt like was a really big deal. I think most people know they're local here. And I was the first myofunctional therapist to speak at their annual symposium that's here in Scottsdale. So that was a huge honor. But at the end of the day, I always say it came back to my own symptoms. That's really what got me interested, because as a hygienist, like I said, going to a great dental hygiene school, having a bachelor's degree, no one had ever told me that I had these symptoms myself. And that's what really got me questioning. That's what got me to stick with it and to really want to learn more, because I thought, if I have these symptoms and I don't know about it, why don't we learn about this in school? Why don't my patients know about this? Like, how do we get information out there? So from a very early point in my training, I always had in the back of my mind, if I can figure out how to make my practice work, and if I can figure out how to do this as a therapy and as a business, eventually someday I want to teach it. So that's what I do today. And it's come from very humble beginnings, and it's come a long way. And it's amazing to see some of you, even in the chat, have taken my 12-week course. Now I have a really amazing team. We've got people that are helping me do all sorts of things. I have a faculty, which we have 1 speech pathologist, 1 dentist, and 2 hygienists. And these are all the educators who help put my course together and make it amazing. Maybe you recognize some of their faces. But it's not just me anymore. It's grown and it's huge. And it's pretty, like I said, it's, to me, amazing to where we started and where we are today. I've got an amazing community. We have over 2,000 graduates now from all over the world, and mostly focused in the United States and Canada, but I think what I've really tried to do, which I hope, I mean, the grads in the group can let me know, but I've really tried to create a community where hygienists feel welcome, where learning is always continuous, where even after you graduate from this program, where I train you how to do myofunctional therapy and how to become a therapist, the goal is that you have this ongoing sense of support and like you can reach out to any of us. So I'll talk more about it, but let's first talk about, if you haven't heard of it, what is myofunctional therapy? So I talked about my path and kind of where I am and what I've done differently with my dental hygiene career, but most of the people who get trained in myofunctional therapy actually end up treating patients. I still do that. It's just on a much smaller scale than what I used to do. So this is a therapy. Think of it like physical therapy. And I have some words listed here. If you Google it, all of these things kind of mean the same thing. So orofacial myofunctional therapy, orofacial myology, tongue thrust therapy. And basically at the end of the day, we teach people exercises for the mouth, for the face, for swallowing, for breathing through the nose, and for tongue posture. And there's a lot more to it, but just to try to give you, just this little glimpse in about 15 minutes that we have, that's my mission for tonight. So I do have a couple videos if anyone is interested. This is what the exercises look like. So we recorded these videos a couple years ago. Let's see. So this exercise is called TikToks, and it's just, again, so you guys can see what we're doing. It's actually really simple. So our model here is clicking her tongue, and that's basically it. I mean, it's creating a suction with the tongue and then moving the lips and cheeks. There's a reason that we do it, not, as simple as it seems, but that's one exercise. I'm gonna go through the next one. I just find that so many people don't even know, like, what does this look like? What does this mean? So for this, she's putting an elastic band, an orthodontic elastic on her tongue, holding her tongue up to the roof of her mouth as kind of a timed exercise that helps with tongue posture. And the last exercise, let's see what we have. Cheek puffs. So it's pretty much just puffing the cheeks full of air. And again, you might ask, why do we do these? There is a whole reasoning behind it. And we have very specific goals that we set out to accomplish with these exercises. But this is mostly just so you can get an understanding of what it looks like. So as a myofunctional therapist, we would teach these exercises to our patients. So the program that I've put together talks about why and how and, what the whole point is. So let's get into a little further. So I always say to people, don't take my word for it. There's a ton of information now, so much more information than when I was getting into this field, but do your own research. You will be shocked to find out how much actual research we have. If you look up myofunctional therapy on PubMed or on any other search engine where you can go into like evidence-based research, we've got tons of that now. And that's really been something that's happened in the last 10 years, I would say, especially since 2015. We've got research connecting myofunctional issues to sleep apnea, supporting tongue tie surgery, all sorts of things with sleep disordered breathing, cranial facial growth and development in kids, orthodontic, periodontal. I mean, so many connections to general dentistry that it's amazing. So look on Google, search ChatGPT, look up, there's books, there's blogs, even, I've written articles for RDH magazine. There's tons of information out there, and even social media, it's all over the place. So I just want to know from the chat, how many of you have actually heard of this or have maybe thought about, like, maybe I should look into that, because it is so much more mainstream than it's ever been today. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of you have heard about it, but it really is everywhere. And what I'm seeing now is that patients are asking for it. They're going to their dental office and they're saying, I heard about this therapy. Can I get this here? Can I do this? And so I do think there's a huge demand from patients that a lot of us dental professionals don't fully realize, like how many patients actually want this and are seeking it. And so, it's just something interesting to note, because I think that's different than 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I got involved in this. patients didn't really know about it. Dentists and hygienists didn't really know about it. And so it was really hard to find information. There was no research or very little. And yeah, it's changed. So one quick note on myofunctional therapy is just to connect it to dentistry, it literally lays the foundation for everything we do in dentistry. So we're talking about getting people's soft tissue and breathing at a healthy functional level so that every other treatment we do in dentistry can be built on top of that. So myofunctional therapy is something that can be in a dental office, integrated into a practice. It's something that you can do on your own as a standalone therapist, like I do. And so there are a lot of options. I also, I've seen hygienists working with sleep medicine doctors and ENTs. And there's some really interesting different paths because myofunctional therapy overlaps so much with sleep apnea and sleep medicine and sleep dentistry. I just think there's so many opportunities for even specializing within the world of myofunctional therapy. If TMD is your thing and you love helping those adult patients in pain, myofunctional therapy is an amazing complement to the appliances, the splints, the treatments that we do for our TMD patients, for example. So you could look at it from that perspective. You could look at it from, I really love kids. I want to work with pediatrics. And this can be done in a pediatric setting. You want to work with infants doing tongue tie surgeries in a dental office. I mean, there's an option for that too. So even within the field of myofunctional therapy, I feel like there's a lot of different paths that you can choose today. And it's pretty amazing. Okay, so just to give you again a little bit of a background, and I'll wrap this up pretty quickly here. Therapy costs on average, and this is going to be different every state. I think Arizona is a little bit more than 100, but on average, we charge $100 to $200 per session for myofunctional therapy. We usually recommend a 12-session program, which realistically could be anywhere from 10 to 15 sessions. We meet with our patients once every 2 weeks, and we usually give 3 or 4 exercises per session. Patients spend a total of 6 to 12 months doing the therapy and working with you. So I know so many of us as hygienists love developing those relationships, connecting with our patients, and you really get time to connect. You're meeting with them once every 2 weeks for several months. And I think it fulfills a lot of those educational, those patient connection, all the things that make us go into hygiene. I think myofunctional therapy almost like amplifies to a degree. You can do it online too, which post all the COVID pandemic stuff, a lot of hygienists are wanting to just work from home, work online, and do therapy in that setting. I do that now today, but originally I saw all of my patients in person in a practice, and it evolved to an online therapy. But there's people doing a hybrid,
It takes me
in
right
person,
to
online, and so it's pretty versatile in that way. And we ask our patients to practice for 5 minutes twice a day. And like I said, you can do this in a dental office. You can do this as your own practice.
How do I put share?
There's some options for people. All right. We'll keep going. So the Myo pathway, if anyone's interested in this, of course, I'm biased. I'll tell you about my program. It's a 12-week course, and I think it's the best one out there. But there are a lot of amazing courses. So the first step on your path is you have to be a hygienist. So I think you all qualify. Step 2 is you need to find a training organization that works for you. So I pretty much know everyone else in the field who teaches it. It's a small community. And so I think you find the person and the program that resonates with you. Again, I'm biased. I think my program's amazing, but I do know the people at the AOMT. I think they put on a great course. There's instructors through the IAOM. These are different organizations. And I think that they all put on amazing courses too. Step 3 is you start seeing patients. And then step 4, you can decide if you want to get certified. There are some different paths to certification. What we have is one overarching organization that I recommend. That is the IAOM. It's the International Association of Orofacial Myology. Our course, the Myo Mentor 12-week program, is one pathway to certification. But again, that is changing. I think they're really kind of coming into the the lead, I guess, the forefront, I want to say, for certifying, but there are at this point, unfortunately, it makes it a little confusing. We probably have like 4 or 5 different certifications. So that's where I think as this field has grown, we have some confusion that's come up. So I answer a lot of questions about that all the time. All right, here's some information on my course. It's 12 weeks. It's exclusively online. It is something that you can join 2 nights a week. We do an hour and 15-minute lecture on Mondays. We have a discussion on Wednesdays. It is, I mean, like I said, we have tons of support, tons of graduates. I have a team who can help, answer questions. We've really, I think it's grown into a very well-oiled machine, and it's pretty fun. I think we have a great time doing it. So if you want more information, feel free to contact me. I've got a QR code there. You can email me, check out my websites. Again, I'm not the only training course out there. I do think there's other amazing ones. Elaine, you just happened to find me, and I'm happy to share anything that you guys want to know about myofunctional therapy and that pathway potential for you. Let me know. I'm happy to help and answer any questions that you guys have. Oh, you're muted.
There was one question about,
Yeah, sure.
you have a course specifically on how to get started with the business, right? So,
I do. Yeah. So we have it's called the Business of Myo. 2 of my colleagues and friends teach it, and they do it under the Myo Mentor program. And it is like, you don't have to take the 12-week training course. You can just do the business course if you wanted, like maybe if you already had training. Most people, I would say, get the training first and then do the business course after. But I mean, you could do it at the same time. We've had people do that as well. So.
okay. And how many clients can you take on, to have a thriving practice? Like, how a dentist will probably have like 1,600 to maybe 2,000 patients in their one, solo provider practice.
Mm-hmm.
What's the realistic,
Gosh, that's a great question. So we try to figure this out all the time with our team. Like, what's like the comfortable, like how many patients do you really want to see in a day? How many? I mean, so at the height of me, like in my craziest time seeing patients, I was doing like 30-minute sessions, and I would see like 12 people in a row, 6 hours straight, which I think is too rigorous, too much. But that was me, young and ambitious, I guess. And now I'm like, you know what? I book out an hour with patients now. I like to take my time. I like to have more conversations and have more time to write my notes. And so depending on your setting, your style, all of that, the sessions themselves don't take too long. I mean, you can accomplish a high quality therapy session in 30 minutes, but notes and follow up and just the extra stuff is harder at that point. So gosh, I always recommend, if you're kind of like maybe taking one hygiene day off and using one day to start building a myofunctional practice, start with a half day and start with like a Thursday or Friday in the afternoon and evenings. That's when most patients want to be seen. So it's after work, after school, because they have to meet with you every 2 weeks, not once every 6 months or every 3 months. They do typically want those, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. hours. And that's a great time to start and, start booking that way. And then when that time slot gets full on one day, maybe open up a second day and go from there when you're trying to transition from a full-time hygiene career to like, how do I also do myofunctional therapy?
And did you ever at any point, Sarah, thank you for that, work within a dental practice, or have you always been kind of like remote and on your own?
So in my early days, I was like a roaming mobile myofunctional therapist. So I think back and I'm like, wow, all these amazing doctors, they opened up their practice to me on days that they were closed. So I had 3 different orthodontists who allowed me, they didn't even charge me rent. I don't know why. They allowed me to come into their office to see their patients. And they're like, here's the code to my building. Here's where you turn on the lights. Just come on in and see our patients here, when like no one else was there. And, I think back to that now. I'm like, wow, they're so trusting. But yeah, I would work out of those different offices, but the rest of the practice was no one else was there. So I was using the space, but it wasn't necessarily intermixed into like a hygiene day. I think, the worst idea is to be trying to integrate it all. Like, oh, I'm going to see a myofunctional therapy patient at 10 and then do a prophy at 11 and then, perio maintenance at 12. You wouldn't want to mix it into your schedule like that. And I don't even think logistically that's possible. So yeah, you want to separate the days, separate, the timing, and it's much easier that way.
That's great. And with the concept of myofunctional therapy, what is the biggest impact that you see with your patients? Like, what's the biggest change and benefit that they receive?
Gosh, it's so much. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of kids, you're literally shaping and guiding their growth by changing their tongue posture, their lip seal, and their breathing. And so if you take a child and obviously these are kind of like big topics, but if you take a child who's mouth breathing and tongue tied, and their mouth is always open, their tongue is always in the bottom of their mouth, and that child grows from being a child into an adult, their face, their airway, the entire structure of their cranium will grow differently and less optimally than the child who grows with their tongue up in the top of their mouth, their lips together, and breathing through their nose. Like they will literally have two different life paths. And knowing that you can change like the growth trajectory of a child, I think is pretty impactful. And it's pretty crazy. Most parents don't know about this. Most of us dental professionals don't know about this. And I think once people really understand like the impact that something so simple, like your breathing and your tongue posture, changing that growth trajectory, I mean, it's a big deal. So it doesn't mean it's too late for our adults, but all the adults who like me, grew in that unoptimal position. Now our structures are more compromised, and that's how we end up with the clenching, grinding, TMD issues, sleep apnea. So when you learn to connect all those dots, it's pretty amazing. It will blow your mind. You're just like, how do we not know about this? Why are we not talking about this like in every aspect with parents, with, anyone who snores? So anyway, it's a lot to look into and to understand, but I encourage everyone go research it, because you will probably be blown away. You'll go down some rabbit holes and just be like, how did I not know this? So
Without asking directly, can one replace their hygiene income by becoming an OMT and going down that road?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you can replace it and beyond, which is encouraging for hygienists. The average, so if you think about the average patient that we see today, we charge about $2,400 for. And that is, it's pretty easy for us to start. I mean, I'll just talk about like a solo therapist. If you can charge $2,400 for one patient, obviously you might be spacing out payments, but just to get the numbers, like it's easy to take on 10 new patients in a month, or 8 new patients in a month, or 15 or 20. And so you can start to see, if you're able to take that on, which is not a huge patient load or burden, you can start to see the numbers grow. And so I think it can definitely replace dental hygiene, easier on your body. You still get that same patient connection. I talk to a lot of hygienists who are like, well, I don't want to go into sales. I don't want to go into something where I lose that patient experience, where I get to connect and educate. And so I think that's what myofunctional therapy solves. And if you just want to work super part-time, you can still make a really good living starting 3 patients in a month, right? So, obviously there's still expenses. You've got to potentially pay rent, but the overhead for the training and the cost of doing therapy is pretty low. I think any of the therapists who are in the chat can probably tell you that you can replace your hygiene wages pretty easily.
So good. Is there anybody else that has any questions? Any more?
I see someone saying, do you need a bachelor's degree? No, you do not. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
What else? Does
And
insurance cover it? A lot of people want to know that. Typically, insurance doesn't. So you do have to kind of get comfortable being in that fee-for-service situation. And for me, I've always just been very flexible on payment plans and spacing out payments. You can do pay per session. So there's ways of working with it. But it is an area, it's really tricky. It's not covered by insurance. So if anyone's familiar with A Tale of Two Hygienists, Michelle Strange is one of the conversations that I've had with her on her podcast. You go, we have like 4 old episodes together. I know she doesn't do the podcast anymore, but how do you get access to care in something that's kind of a first world thing? And so, I'm trying to problem solve that all the time. But yeah, it is not covered well by insurance. So if anyone knows how to get that to work, that's a whole new career path.
Yeah. And so obviously my thing is lasers and it's not covered by insurance. And I see the doctors who have advanced lasers are doing tongue tie release and advanced, occlusal therapy.
Yeah.
The laser is just one other little tool in the repertoire, and they're working very, very closely with myofunctional therapists, and they're seeking them. And so
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
in the name of this event where we're like, what are we going to do now? Or
Yeah.
what's going to happen to our profession? We need to continue to elevate and grow and up level our education and follow the path where we're going to be welcomed and respected and needed and appreciated. And like I said, I was just so amazed how people were like, are you going to become an OMT? Are you going to? And I was kind of almost looked at funny when I was telling everybody, I just want to understand what it is more. I don't desire to be an OMT at this time, but I desire to be in network with them. I desire to be able to refer to them. I desire to be able to be that bridge from, seeing a patient in my chair to maybe explaining to the parent why it is so necessary and functional and detrimental for a patient to, go seek therapy with you. So I do get, value out of that, even just being able to be a referral resource.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's some other questions. I don't want to take too much time, but you don't have to be certified. The certification is a little bit of a controversial thing because there are so many groups in a small field. Things can get there's dramas and there's which is the best group, and I've tried very hard my whole career to stay neutral and to not say, oh, this one's better or this certification's better, that organization. So but the short answer is no, you don't need to be certified. My course does qualify you to practice, and it's also a pathway to certification through the IAOM. So I have started to partner with them recently, and I think it's a really good thing for the field. So all right. I'm happy to turn it over, and I will try to stay on the chat or jump back in at the end and answer any more questions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. So glad to have you. And
thank you so much for having me.
I'm really grateful that you would come out and share.
Yeah, me too. Here, I'll
work with you again.
Yes.
Sure. So next up, we will have Dr. Happy talking about Botox and the requirements in Arizona and any questions you have. And as she's adding value to her practice as well, and come on up, Dr. Happy. And I feel like the same way hygienists can feel a little bit trapped in their scope, dentists also feel that way too sometimes, right? So I would love to hear from you. What inspired you to take this clinical path, and what have you learned along the way? So please take it away, Dr. Happy. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
I'm a pediatric dentist. I work here with ABC Dentistry for Children. I've been with this practice for, going on 9 years now, but been a pediatric dentist since 2003. So it's been, kind of like the in and outs, and wanted to change paths. So this opportunity came along in 2000, just a couple of years ago. 2022 is when the Arizona board opened the platform for dentists and I think hygienists as well at the same time to start being an aesthetic injector. And I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I don't know why. It was just interesting to me. It was something that I think the physicians were only allowed to do. So that was another challenge. Like, why not dentists? when we are all about face, we're working face in people's mouth. We know our anatomy, so why keep us away from it? So I think it was a little bit of a personal challenge as well at the time. And when it was out, so I was like, why not? So here I am. I started. Let me just share my screen if I can. I started, Kaya is what my little baby is called. It's brand new. I started it last year in 2023. November is when I started, and I love it. It's more of a passion, a hobby, more than anything else. I started it just to be able to add something to my just a pediatric dental routine. So I'll just share things that have started to become more of the dental hygiene population is getting into it as well. And I'm like, why not? There's so much demand for it. And you have your own niche of patients. And we can inject, or we were allowed to inject just for TMJ, like, just masseters basically. But now it's out for anything aesthetics, and it's growing. We can do toxin fillers and hygienists as well. So I just went into this is the AZ 321202 that came out in, like I said, 2022 January, when Arizona Dental Board allowed dentists and dental hygienists to get into this for not only therapeutic but cosmetic purposes as well. Just a little fine print for dental hygienist. You have to be under a supervising dentist who also, obviously is prescribing and using toxin fillers. You should have obviously a certificate as well. And then it's a general supervision, not a direct supervision. I think the thing was you have to work under direct supervision of a licensed dentist for about 6 months, and then have 75 injections for 2 years. And then you can go on your own or have a general supervision. That's one of the places that I read at. But this in November 24, this came up. So I think it's general supervision, and as long as it's prescribed by a supervising dentist, and the procedure, of course, has to be it has to be is not irreversible. These are there are a lot of courses that are available in Arizona, but the things that you need to look out for are make sure they have qualified instructors to do it. They can be medically or dentally trained as well. If you have hands-on training, there are like real people that you can practice under their supervision, of course. And then it should be recognized. You should be able to get a certificate, and it should be recognized by the Arizona Dental Board. The curriculum should cover, obviously, anatomy again, injection techniques, the safety, what kind of products they use, the knowledge of the products, and different skills. And then, of course, and does it help understand the scope of practice? And then, of course, if you have the course should give you some post-course help as well. These are some of the providers in Arizona. I know there are more. The AAFE is more dental focused. Then I did mine from National Laser Institute, and they had different levels. So the first level was basic tox, just kind of introduction to fillers. And then the second level was a little bit more into the fillers, the techniques, and basically, the lip and cheek fillers, and nothing too crazy. And then, of course, the more you get into it, the more you want to learn more about it. There's lasers, PRPs. It's endless. Like literally, it's an endless field. You can like sky's the limit. And then the Empire Medical Training. Just make sure there is a certificate of completion at the end, and you do get CE credits as well. So that's another important thing. The way I spaced out my, when I learned with National Laser, I did level 1 took a little time to learn about talks and practice it, and then went back for the second level just because I was a little bit more aware of what I was doing pretty much. And then I went in and learned more because I knew what I was doing after the first level of training. And so so now let's say you get your certificate of completion. Now what you do? So of course, work with a dentist who has Botox certification as well, or tox certification. So you get some hands-on. Not a whole lot of dentists believe in it or do it, or it's a scope of their practice. So make sure you have a certified dentist who would love to have you on board. You can like observe, assist, learn. And then after that, after you've done a few, then you have your own technique of doing things, and everyone has their own vibe. So just some ethics and legalities of it. It is, of course, a prescription drug, so the dentist has to write it. So he's pretty much, the dentist is a medical director that you will be working with. You'll need their name and everything to get the product from the people. And then once like I have aesthetic record, that's the soft like the like Dentrix basically. So it's called aesthetic record, and that's where you compile the questionnaire with the client's basic information. You do need their health intake. Pictures are before and after. It's super important because people will always notice their faces afterwards. They'll never notice their faces before. And then they start picking up little things that they never noticed before. So if you have pictures of before and you have before and after, you can compare. I think that's the most important thing. And of course, with legality as well. And then be specific about where you place the product, what product was used, and then make sure you have their consent as well. And of course, stay within the defined, like the legal and ethical limits of our practice. And always follow up with your clients. I follow up the next day to make sure they're doing okay. And then I do follow up like a couple weeks before the 2-week mark to make sure they don't need any touch-ups, because after the 2 weeks, you have to wait for the 3-month for their next appointment. Also, once you get this, you'll have your malpractice insurance changes as well. So make sure you do contact your malpractice insurance and let them know about this change of scope or addition of scope of what you're doing. And then this just came up starting this year, that will need 12 credit hours every renewal period. It wasn't there before, but it started in July of this year is when it's going to start. So this is where my baby is Kaya Beauty. That's my Instagram. I've never been a social media person. I tried social media and I'm still pretty bad at it, but this is my attempt at Insta handle. That's my cell phone number, my email, just in case you ever need to contact me, please do. And then again, just always, if you do want to go through this, there's so much of need out there, especially my client base has been it's been slow because my clients are like little kids, and it's more word of mouth. But if you're a hygienist, you have clients right there, and there are a lot of people that are grinding, and TMJ injections or migraines. Those will be really good ones to start off with, because then you can help them too, if you see grinding. And so these are just my few pre and post, and my lip injections. So nothing too crazy, but I love doing this. Like I said, it's a hobby for me, but I love it. So yeah, if you have any questions at all, please always contact me. I'm open to any questions or anything, if I can be of any help to anybody.
What days are you seeing new patients?
This is I work Tuesday through Friday. So weekends and Mondays, the days I'm off, they're usually my talks and filler days.
Okay. Because as Lori was talking, I can feel myself, like my eyebrows were just like, "Ugh," I was getting so mad. And then I caught myself like, what? We're overdue here. We cannot be making these faces. So if anybody is interested in getting more information about the laws, or even being one of Dr. Happy's patients and going to her, a trusted provider, please don't hesitate to reach out to her. And hopefully we will have, as an arm of our dental integrations seminars, we will have much, much more on specifically just Botox and fillers alone, just that piece alone, because it's, I mean, we can go way into the depths of it. But are you seeing any challenges so far with it?
No, it's like I said, sky's the limit. The more you learn about it, the more you can be valuable to your clients. So, no, not so far.
Good. Good. Does anybody else have any questions? Migraine, Botox injections. Are you doing a lot of TMJ at
I
this?
am.
Okay.
Yes. So it's the masseter, the temporalis. Yes, all of those.
Okay. So that's very interesting because when laser got passed, it was one and done. You can just get certified, take that one course, and then you never have to take another class again. Like interesting with what Sarah said with Myo Mentor and getting certified or not formally having to get certified to be a myofunctional therapist. There, really is no set requirements. So, again, these are just two pathways, right? And then again, recapping with Bethany being uh, uh, an influencer, a social media influencer, and being able to write articles and speak on at big meetings. I mean, all of these have been really great so far. Are you guys enjoying it so far? Can you tell me in the chat if you guys have been enjoying it? Is this helpful for you? You guys kind of seeing a way? Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Happy. I'm so grateful that we had you. And
Thank you.
see you again very, very soon. I'm always trying to reach out to you like
Yes.
I get you on the road with me to teach laser tongue tie release. And by the way, what laser are you working with now in your practice? Which laser?
Light scalpel. I just bought the light scalpel, and yeah, I was listening to Sarah, and I am in need of more OMTs. I have just one that I'm working with right now, but I will reach out to Sarah. So we're doing frenectomies. That's yet another arm that I'm an offshoot of pediatric dentistry that I'm loving now. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And again, nowhere are we gonna, these are the places where we're gonna be welcomed and appreciated and supported and respected. So thank you again, Doc. I greatly appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. So next, I'm gonna bring up and here, and if you guys can go give Dr. Happy a follow, that'd be so great. She's at Kaya Beauty, on Instagram. That'd be so great. I'm gonna bring up Jennifer really briefly because she fought so hard to get in here. Thank you, Jennifer. Are you able to turn on your camera?
It should be.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. It's coming. I'm sorry. I had a new internet installed and apparently I have issues. My camera's on.
Okay, so
I don't know.
well,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you, yes.
Right.
And I can see the lovely background that I created. So,
Yeah, I see your.
so tell us about yourself, Jennifer. How'd you get started in dental?
Well,
what
I
are
got started in dentistry way before any of you were born. So I've been a hygienist since 1979, and I started off in perio, and it was very exciting. Back then, we didn't even wear gloves or masks, so I don't know what to say to you guys. I mean, it was literally a bloodbath, and you had to scrub your nails with a brush every time you did every single patient. And we've evolved quite a bit in OSHA standards, I have to say. We had the days of the cuspidors. You probably don't even know what those are. But anyway, I have practiced 46 years in hygiene, and I met Elaine probably, I think, 15 years ago. We had both become laser certified, and I was, scared to death to go to laser school because I thought, oh my God, it's going to involve math. And that's just terrifying for me. But I found that it really brought back it just lit a passion in me, becoming laser certified. And I saw the perio benefits to my patients. And I got all excited, and I got my intermediate and advanced certifications. And I met Elaine at a presentation, and she was starting up laser dental culture, I believe it was, or dental hygiene culture, and asked me to help teach with her. And I was talking to her about a manuscript I had written, One Bad Apple Spoils the Barrel. And it was a practice management, just a paper, because I don't do any public speaking until I met Elaine. And she actually forced me, but it was a good thing, brought me out of my shell. And I became a speaker, and I turned my manuscript into a 3-unit seminar on practice management. And we went from there. I taught laser certification. In fact, we still teach together occasionally in Tucson, because she's in Phoenix. So I'll help her with classes down here. And I've slowly, over the time of speaking, I gave some introductory seminars for the Academy of Laser Dentistry at one of their big national conventions. And that's where I became introduced to Novathor lasers, the body healing lasers. And there they are. I see them. I am so fortunate. This is my 8th year working with the laser down in the bottom right corner. It is the LX2. It's a handheld laser, and I do body healing from the head to the toe, concussions, wounds, and ACLs, medial meniscus, lateral meniscus, you name it, we can heal it with this laser. And we also have the Thor laser bed, which gives you a systemic treatment for muscle recovery and for pain. I am now sort of just weaning myself away from clinical dental hygiene and working more and more at edge integrative wellness with the lasers, and probably going to be going into administrative dentistry, dental hygiene, administrating over dental hygiene offices. So I'm very excited. I think there's a lot of movement towards finding, let's get out of our sandbox. We don't have to stay centered into the clinical. Get out and be motivated to do other things outside of just clinical dental hygiene. And I owe it all to Elaine. If I had not met Elaine, I'd probably still just be sitting and just cleaning teeth, and I would have never got the chance to teach laser certification. And I love working with students. I find it so rewarding and refreshing. I don't know, anything else you can think of, Elaine?
Can you lean forward? I wonder if you lean forward, I can see your face a little better.
Can you?
It's okay. I was hoping we could see your beautiful face, but I'm trying. Okay.
I guess it's just not meant to be tonight,
Well, we're making it work. Jennifer,
okay.
You've told me many times that you have created protocols for Thor. You treat people who go under mastectomy, erectile dysfunction. Like, what do you do? Where are you putting those probes? What are you doing with that laser?
Well, that one that one I got onto about 5 years ago. I had a patient who just said, "Hey, do you have a protocol for erectile dysfunction?" And I said, "I don't know. I'll call Thor. I have my people in England, and I call them, and they're very, very gracious and answer all my questions." And they said, "No, but if you want to try it, go for it." And I, did some research about ED, and it's basically blood flow. And if there's inflammation, there's no blood flow. And so if you reduce inflammation, which is what the laser does, the large cluster that you see in the picture reduces inflammation. And the smaller cluster that you see there is for tissue repair and regeneration. So if you have a prostate issue, this laser penetrates 2.5 inches into the tissue. So you can basically reach the prostate by just getting up next to the peritoneum. Now, if you take it a little bit farther, you can see those probes down there. One is a 660 wavelength and one is an 810 wavelength. Well, you take the 660 and you lube it, and you can go into the anus and hit the prostate. This reduces inflammation. So if they have an inflamed prostate, now remember, it has to be everything, the stars all have to align. They cannot be on a beta blocker. They cannot be on a lot of different other medications that cause erectile dysfunction. So as long as it's not psychological and it's just increasing circulation, then you get increased blood flow, then you get an erection. So I would say I'm 50-50 on that, because a lot of times, many times it's a psychological problem. So I do have a minor in psychology, but I don't treat patients for those types of things. So I send them to a sex therapist.
Interesting.
But I did develop a protocol 5 or 6 years ago for Thor, and they took my results and they put it through their double-blind studies, and now it's in their library. I'm working on one right now for Dupuytren's contracture, trigger finger, because I've treated quite a few people with Dupuytren's, and it softens the cords in the hand and allows them to have movement again. It's very rewarding.
That's beautiful. And even in your own journey, I remember you said you regenerated your own toe nerve.
Oh yeah, I had a neuroma removed, and he said, well, unfortunately it was very large, and we had to sever all the nerves in your foot. So your foot from your plantar plate forward is going to be numb forever. But they also couldn't suture. There was a hole left, maybe about 6 millimeters around, and he said it's going to be that way for about 6 months. It'll take for it to heal. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. So I took my laser and I healed the wound. Like, it was healed within, I would say 8 weeks, 2 months, not 6. In the process of doing that, instead of just using the round cluster to heal the wound, I added the 810. Why not? I'm experimenting on myself. Mm-hmm. Well, the 810 is, remember I said, it regenerates nerves and tissue. So I regenerated all my nerves. It's a good thing and a bad thing, because when it starts to regenerate, you feel like it's ants are crawling on your feet. It's like a neuropathy type of feeling. And so it took a few months of me treating it to where I got over that. And now I have all the feeling back in my foot.
It's amazing. Regeneration at its finest, and photobiomodulation. And so what kind of people just come in and lay in your bed at your practice? And what other medical providers are you working in tandem with who are really respecting you and loving you and appreciating you?
I work with a great group of women. The 2 doctors are functional medicine doctors, and they're interested in learning every day. They supply me with patients. I had one of the doctors pull me in the other day, and she goes, hey, I need you to see this patient. He's 24. He was just in a motorcycle accident. His tibia and fibula had to be replaced, and, he might lose his foot. And we just want to give it one last hurrah and see if we can heal the foot. And it's a really tough area. I mean, it's not in a good situation. But the orthopedic surgeons are giving us 2.5 weeks with the laser to see if we can keep it from becoming necrotic, and where they will have to remove it. Another time she calls me in, I've got a concussion. A kid just got in a car accident and the 2 heads butted, and he's got a concussion. And concussions and you get them right away, right when they happen. You can heal a concussion very quickly. It's amazing, because what are you doing? You're reducing the inflammation of the brain. And you do it all with that one large cluster. That's it. 660 light heals that quickly. And I work with 2 IV nurses. We do ozone IVs where we take your blood out, we oxygenate it with O3, and we put it back in you. And it has it just has a healing effect to your body. We use methylene blue with the red light bed. A lot of information coming out with biohackers on how methylene blue IVs in a red light bed they're starting to see curing cancer with it.
That's amazing.
You know, I can't say we're doing that because we don't have all the research in yet, but it's possible to do that.
And Jennifer, lastly, how is it that a hygienist of many years, how is it that you're able to have taken that step? Like, what is it about you? And like, give us some words of wisdom. Like, what about you was able to do that, make that jump?
I think it was out of necessity. I haven't been really a great, I've been through 3 divorces, so I've been on my own a lot. So I'm very responsible for my situation. And so I have to take care of myself and my body parts in hygiene, my thumb joints. If it wasn't for the laser, I would have had to quit hygiene 25 years ago, probably. My neck, my thumb joints get very, very sore. And I'm at the point now where I will need surgery in another few years if I kept it up. But I use the laser on me, and it works beautifully. Like I said, I work in a functional medicine office, so I have access to the bed. I have access to these wonderful IVs. I also have access to PRP instead of using steroids, which just break down some connective tissue. We do injections of PRP and prolozone. So all of those things have kept me alive and well and able to work, and I enjoy it.
And what about your clinical expertise and your people acumen? I mean, you're very good at people and managing people and getting the doctors on board with what vision you set for dental hygiene departments. And that is what allows you to work in any practice you want. Still to this day, you go into offices and from what I've seen the past 3-5 years, you've worked for maybe a year at a time with the practice, just training and mentoring the hygienists that work there, getting them on board with clinical protocols, like all of that, yes. But did you need a bachelor degree to go into Edge Wellness? Like,
no.
Can any of us do that?
Any of you can do this. Anybody can do it. You do have to have your laser certification. And, but basically the doctor, I still need a medical provider to use this laser, not the whole bed laser, but the level or the class 3B laser, the Thor LX2, that requires, your Thor certifications. I've taken 3 or 4 core courses with Thor, as well as I have my standard, intermediate, and advanced certificates in laser certification for dentistry. But basically, you just need to have your dental hygiene degree and be laser certified in order to do any of this.
Beautiful. And as we wrap yours up, Jennifer, thank you so much. Unfiltered, what are your thoughts about the OPA, and should we be worried?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I see both sides of the picture. Yes, I think unless it's taught correctly and it's monitored and keep an eagle eye on everything, as much as we are watched. I mean, you know how we are. They're very picky on what we can do and what we can't do. And as long as there's set guidelines and this coursework is taught by proficient hygienists, I would hope that the hygienists would be the ones teaching the OPAs what they can and what they can't do and making it very strict. But I do see a need for it in ortho offices and pedo offices and in offices where mainly the hygienists maybe need to be freed up with just not doing, kids, little kids, I would say just to 13 or 12. And then if they have calculus, then the hygienist has to come in. I just think it needs very strict guidelines. Otherwise, it's going to be like the way Bethany was talking. Everybody, I think, or Lori was something. The lady from Illinois. I was too busy trying to get myself on this thing, but I can see where that's awful. What's going on there? I mean, it's terrible.
And between you and I, lastly, you were like, I've been doing this for so long. I still get a little shaky and hold my breath when I give an injection. And now, dental assistants are being made to
No,
take quick courses and they're just going to go and do it. And I feel like that is a true testament to the lack of understanding of risk management. Like, sure, if I don't know what I'm doing or what all the risks are involved, I'm just going to get in there and do it and have no fear, right? But I still, even when I use the laser, I'm still like, okay, settings, everything, distance,
right.
time, like text.
Exactly. I double and triple check myself all the time on a laser, and giving anesthetic. Truthfully, I've been giving it for 46 years. I was local anesthesia certified out of school. So, and I've given it quite a bit, especially in perio. I did 14 years of perio. And I still, to this day, when I give an injection, I look at it, check my landmarks, and I hold my breath. But that's also because I don't like getting those injections. So
Well,
I
thank
have
you.
a lot of compassion for my patient.
I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Love you too. And thank you, Elaine, from the bottom of my heart for putting up with me all these years.
You're the laser queen. I have to manage the talent. And now we're going to take a clinical turn because in having a business, we have to be able to manage the people, and so the next presenters coming up, Sade and Amy, they have businesses and it become like, what more do we need if we do want to go into the ownership role? And then we're going to finish up with Valerie and myself, where we're talking more to the clinical role. So thank you guys for being ever so patient. And Miss Sade, please come on up.
Can you see me?
Yes. Do you have
Oh,
slides
okay.
to share?
I don't actually.
Okay.
I didn't know how casual. I usually just roll off the cuff. If I have something to say, I just share it. I
Thank
do actually have one, but I don't have it to share. But I'll definitely tell you everything you need to know or want to know about me and what I do here in California.
So, Sade, you are very active in the chats. I saw your name. I saw your like spicy like comment.
Always.
I was like, I need to know her and talk to her. So I reached out to you. You're the very first person. And I said, can you please do a panel with me, part two? Because a lot of feedback was we weren't being sensitive enough. And because I'm a curmudgeon and I'm never sensitive enough to anything, apparently, at least that's what my daughter says. It's like, what can we do to help us move forward and move on? And then what are you doing in California that's
Yes.
in the clinical role, and how are you monetizing? Because I mean, as a clinical hygienist, and no matter what, I want to know how I can replace my income or continue the standard of living. And I don't, this is why we get kind of changed to the clinical role and have to put up with all this SH, because what else are we gonna do,
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know some of you might already know me, but I'm Sade. I'm a RDHAP, which is a registered dental hygienist here in alternative practice in Southern California. Just like a lot of you and the stories I heard, I did private practice, corporate practice for over a decade, and I really felt like I had hit a ceiling. And I love hygiene. Like I love it. I love the connection I make with my patients. But what I was really missing was the autonomy over the patient plan, right? So I would create a plan for my patient, and then maybe a dentist would come in and say, no, well, we're going to do this. And so I heard through the grapevine about this program, and it's been around in California for almost 20 years now. And I hadn't heard of it. I was like, oh, what's this? Okay, so it's a hygienist that works outside the practice. And so a lot of us are mobile. We work in schools, we work in hospitals, we work in senior centers, and we work with patients with disabilities. And also, if we open our own practice in a designated area, then we can work independently and see anybody and everybody. So I do a little bit of both. I've been a AP now for 6 years. I own my own dental hygiene practice, and I still do offer my mobile services because obviously those are the people that need it the most. These are people that are homebound and they can't get out of bed. But also in my practice, I see a lot of college students, I see a lot of kids, I see a lot of immigrants that are weary of the dentist or they don't have insurance. So I see it all. Yeah, so the journey, I've been a hygienist for 10 years and I had hit an overhead. It was good in the practice until it wasn't. And there was a lot of my hands being tied. And so I found out about the program. And just like Bethany, I had a baby during the pandemic. And I was really trying to rechange what I would do as a hygienist. I was just like her, running around like a chicken with my head chopped off. And it was crazy. So once I took the program, you needed to have so many hours as a hygienist. And I want to say at the time, it's been 6 years now, but it was the equivalent to 3 to 4 years it being a clinical hygienist. And you needed to have about 160 units or say, comparable to a bachelor's. You needed to have that, and then you needed to get a signature from the office to verify that you did so many hours. The program was 4.5 months. And it would go over what it's like working with seniors and patients with disability and a little bit of the business side. So, a lot of us hygienists, we are working in the office and we're making an income for ourselves, but also we need to remember that we are a provider, and that is the difference between an assistant and a hygienist. An assistant clocks in and generates in and makes an hourly wage. When we clock in, we're clocking in, but we're also generating income for that office. So if I'm seeing a patient and I'm, doing SRPs and these claims are being submitted, I'm a provider and I am a generator. So that is the difference. And once you start realizing your numbers and you start knowing your value, you start seeing things a little bit more different. And I realized that I was always a high producing hygienist and I always was feeling a little capped. So anyway, I finished the program. I continued to work. And as the pandemic rolled around, my hours, everybody was cut. We were off. I really just started to like pick up what I needed. I started collecting my instruments and gaining the things that I needed because when I returned, it wasn't the same. So I realized, you know what, I do need to do something different. And this was the great opportunity to do so. So for the first 2 years, I would just be mobile and I gained a lot of clientele by going to community centers, low income clinics, schools. I would even go to I can't think of the word, but like services, veterans services, a lot of them are always waiting a long time for their cleanings. So I would go in and leave goodie bags, and with my card so they can reach out to me. And I did that for a couple of years, and I was going online. So there is a database where you could find out if your area is designated. And I was doing some research, and with the help of a few friends, we collectively called almost 500 offices of dentists in the area to see if they were Medi-Cal providers. And if they weren't, we would enter this information into an Excel spreadsheet. And we gathered this information, turned it into the board, and they accepted the area. So I'm not like off in this extremely rural area. There's shortages everywhere. There's a plethora of people that really need help, that can't get to a hygienist because, well, we're behind the desk, and whether it's financial or the manager stopped them or whoever stopped them, they can't get to us, right? And I do feel that everybody deserves access to care and quality care, right? So if you can get your car oil changed anywhere, you should be able to get a cleaning anywhere from a skilled, licensed professional. So after 3 years, my office was finally, my area was approved. I sent in the address and they accepted it. And so then I went on a whole new mission of, doing the flooring and creating an operatory and making sure that I followed all the business licensing protocol that was needed. And then I was up and going, right? So I've had my office for 6 years, and recently, I would say in October, because I get a lot of emails every day from other hygienists that they want the same thing because they should have that. And there was a group of hygienists and they were looking for the same thing. They want that autonomy, they want to work. And I said, hey, well, my office is already designated. You're more than welcome to use my mobile machine and use my room. But it got full. There's four of us. So it just so happens by chance, the leasing manager in the area was a bigger room was becoming available, about 1,300 square foot office. And they asked, is anybody interested? And I said, well, yeah, I am. And so all of December, I built 4 rooms for all of us. So I have 4 hygienists in my office and they make their own schedule. I'm not their boss, they're their own boss. 2 of the girls, I like to say this, they like to come really early. So some girls, they come from 7 a.m., 9 a.m., and they're done. They're with their family. I'm a late bird, and another girl is really late. Sometimes I see her on the schedule at 7 p.m. And good for her. She's seeing the patients that have to come after work. So I love the flexibility as a mom, as a wife, and just being able to see my patients, and get out of that employee mindset. So I do take Medi-Cal, I do take insurance, but a lot of the times it is fee for service. And us women, we're the nurturer and we're the helper. And so sometimes you have to realize, like, okay, I'm making a living here. This is my business. So it is important to set your fees accordingly. I do use a UCR sheet, and it's like an average of the fees in the area. I do come in a little under because that is the goal, is to offer quality care to your patient so they can reach a hygienist and afford us, right? So that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years now, and I love it. And just recently, I decided that I wanted to change my business platform to health and beauty wellness. So I'm going back to school right now to be an esthetician, and I want my center, I want patients to see going to the hygienist as self-care. I want them to associate that as, not a scary thing, but it is a self-health thing. And, just being able to offer warm neck towels to them. And I do think a lot of my patients really appreciate the setting that I have available. And I do see patients that are autistic sometimes, and I'm able to lower the lights and have a longer schedule with them. So it's been a great experience. And so when I heard about the OPA happening, I was like, you know what? It's in Arizona, but we need to be united. I think that would be the only area where we've been complacent for so long, is that we have been a team member. We've constantly have been building up the office. But what about us? What about our profession? Everybody knows that the mouth is the portal to the body. So whatever you're putting in your mouth, if could affect the rest of your body. So that's literally our specialty. And so what I want to say to, the OPAs is, or like the dentists that want to use them, is like, if you don't want to hire hygienists, then we will start opening our own practices. And maybe we're going to start working in integrated medicine. I would love to work in a hospital and see diabetes patients, see heart patients, patients with cancer, have the doctor come in, the nurse, and the hygienist. We need to be part of a larger team. And I feel like we would be appreciated there. And so I do see a new vision for hygienists, and I do see that we need to rebrand ourselves. We need to be self-regulated, and we need to stand alone as a profession so that we can offer the quality care services that patients need. If they want to mess around with the OPA, we're going to have to go up and clean the mess. That's okay. Like, that we should still be able to have an office where we're going to be able to provide the quality service that patients could get to. And just recently, just like that X-ray that I saw from Illinois, I had a patient because I do temp here and there. And what would you know it? It was an 8-year-old boy. He comes in every 6 months. He was just there at his last 6-month appointment. Of course, I'm gonna scale. And what did I remove? Black calculus. I just put the scale, I put it on the gauze, and then, he had just a polishing last time. Like, we need to do better. And I think that's where our fight is we have a valid case, we have the schooling, we have the backing, and we just need to do it. We just need to find a new way. All these sunset programs, like, this isn't new. Obviously, these hygienists that have been doing this for a long time, these have been issues. So, if you want to work with the OPA, that's fine. I'm going to go link hands with a doctor, in these hospitals, and that way, patients could have the access to care. That's my goal, really, I just wanted to continue to share my story with other hygienists. I just wanted to give something positive. I wanted to encourage and inspire and let hygienists know it's very rewarding to be my own boss, and every dollar that I generate goes to myself. And being able to go on vacation, and one other thing, some advice I would give, and I heard so many great things tonight, and it's just a 180 from the last one, and that's what I was looking for. And it was so cool to see so many different states on here. I was like, oh my God, that it's just, we want this, we want it, and we want it now, and we're just not gonna settle anymore. That's what I feel from this era, and I'm here for it. You know what? I forgot what I was going to tell you. Did you remember what I was telling you right now? I always have a spiel and then I go back on it.
You were starting to say that practice ownership is very rewarding. And
Yes. Yes.
self-regulation.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I wanted to tell my fellow hygienists is I think what else that gives me such reward as a hygienist is having versatile things going on in your life. If you're doing a hobby or something that you love that can also generate similar income, it'll really make you a well-rounded hygienist and just love the practice more. When I'm not doing hygiene, I am a travel agent and I do photography, and it does give me a creative outlet where there is no rules to my camera, right? Except, I am following the shutter speed, but it is my art. And so it does empower me to continue to be a good hygienist because I'm not boggled down with hygiene every day. And really, last Christmas, I had a few photo shoots lined up at a Christmas tree farm, and they each of the families paid me $250 each. So it was 250, 250, 250, and I was done. And I share that because I just want hygienists to, and that's why they're here, is to know that we can do more. We can do more. We can incorporate more. My other business is called Captured by Smiles because I'm also captured by your smile, right? So I just want you guys to know that you have a team, you have a support system. I just want hygienists to know they can reach out to me anytime, whether it be about starting a business, how to make income, making your business lucrative, whatever it could be. And let me know if I'm going too fast or because I don't have a screen that I'm following. So if I need to pause or you have questions, but it it lit a fire under me so much that even in our state, even as APs and having that autonomy to work outside the dental office, there's a lot of forums where hygienists they go in and they're asking questions, and nobody's giving them that like the answer. And you have to realize, like, if I have a successful dental hygiene practice, why shouldn't you? Like, why should I be the only one? What are we telling the boards if there's only a handful? They're gonna think this is a hobby or something. No, so I don't gatekeep. I want you to have an office. I would love like 500 dental hygiene practice only in the state of California. We're gonna just bombard them the board. They're like, oh my God, everybody wants this. Like, yes, we want it. We want it now. We want our autonomy. We want to be self-governed, and we just want to run our businesses.
Sade,
So yeah,
can I ask
that's
you a question?
yes.
Um, so there was a few that came in and I was like, I'm gonna see. So sorry to interrupt you. There was
Yeah,
one
no.
that said, what exactly is your core business?
Well, hygiene. I'm a hygienist and my office. So my practice, Sade, RDHAP, that's my core. That's and my business is Smile on the Go. And so that is the parent company. And then I run my office and then I do photography and then I do travel. So those are just little businesses that kind of are under that umbrella.
Where is your practice and do you need a doctor? Where does a doctor fit in that role, or where is the red tape with the doctor? How independent?
Yes, great question. So my office is in Redlands, California. So I'm about an hour from LA. I'm in the Valley. And yes, so how it works is you have to have a contract with a relationship dentist. Mine's amazing. I have a few, but I have a woman doctor in particular that she just trusts me to just do what I need to do, which is hygiene. But anyway, the rules or the legalities of it is that they need to be referred to the dentist every 18 months for restorative care and checkups. So anything that's hygiene related, I do in my practice. And if I need to do a deep cleaning, I have to notate it and it has to be on record for the doctor to verify. But she's already up to here with me that in the early years, I would always call her and be like, hey, just wanted you to know that I'm recommended SRP. And she'd be like, you know your job, like goodbye, right? So I love that she just is like, you're a hygienist. That's just what you do. And that's what I just do in my office is all hygiene. And if I see something, I refer it out. And the dentist does restorative, what they should be doing, just focusing on that, you know. But
Thank
that's
you
how it
so
works.
much.
Yeah, you
So
have to have a relationship.
thank you so much, Sade. And I know that you're doing, can you put in the chat, you have RDHAP mixers, and we plan to have, I'm hoping I can get Sade back to just alone talk about RDHAP and just dig a little deeper into the exact, like what's the application process? How many hours are needed? And if I'm working
Yes.
3 days a week, how many hours does that mean I have to put in before I can put that application in?
I want to make
Where do I
sure, sorry to answer these. No, okay. So I use a lot of the Gingicaine, Orachix, but if we want to anesthetize in the office, we need to have somebody else that is CPR certified, and we have to have an oxygen tank, and that's it. So it's pretty simple. We just do we are allowed to do what we need to do.
And Valerie is coming on at the end to kind of really answer just a couple more questions about the dental hygiene diagnosis in Arizona and where we are with that. So thank you so much, Sade.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
didn't bring anything, but if after this, Elaine wants to share my social media, I'll put it in the messaging. I just want you to know that I'm your friend and that you can reach out to me anytime. And really, if you ever have any questions or anything really dental related, and you want to see change in your, just like what Bethany is doing, I refer to her because I feel like I have a similar story, but I really love what she's doing. It's she's thinking outside the box, like because something is not done yet doesn't mean it can't happen. And so it just takes meetings like this for us to get together. And lastly, that's what I just recently did. I threw together a mix and mingle because I wanted my fellow hygienists to link up and know that they are partners. And also, yes, I have a brand, but I didn't want to talk or share too much about the brand because I did want to
Feel free to
just
put it in the chat.
talk about my passion for you guys about, you know,
So
I love hygiene, and I don't want people to give up on hygiene. I see a big bright future for us if we just stick together and we're united, and yeah, we start getting some legal teams going together. That's what we need.
thank you, Sade. I'm gonna add
Yes.
your socials in the chat. And I greatly appreciate you. And I hope that we can get together again so I can host you and only you so that you can give us the whole rundown. Like so many things I want to ask you. So thank you so much. And if
Yeah,
you have
sure.
any questions for Sade, please be in the chat with her. So thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having me. Yes, thank you.
I appreciate you and your drive and your fire. Not everybody wants to be entrepreneurial like that. I mean, she has at least 3 businesses, right? So I totally understand that. And so as we kind of take a turn here, we're going to get back into the clinicals. So here we have Miss Amy. She owns Power Dental, which is in Mesa, right off the 60 freeway in a Target Plaza, very easy to get to. And she has a beautiful team and she has all the technology. And go ahead and take it away, Amy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And I just want to say that I've learned so much from everybody. And when I'm hearing Jennifer and Bethany, everybody, it makes me feel like a whole nother whole health aspect. And I'm like thinking all these business ideas. So like when I have that mindset of like, okay, owning a dental practice as a dental hygienist, and I'm hearing all these things, I'm like, okay, I'm just such a active learner that now I want to go bring all these things to the practice. So I have been a dental hygienist since 1994. I started off in Vermont in just a regular private practice of 4 people. And about a year in, I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And I was 19 years old because I graduated high school at 17, went right into dental hygiene. I applied at one school, got in, and that's what I was going to do. And then I decided, okay, not sure if I want to do this after only a year. So I went back to school and got a bachelor's degree in health science as I was working hygiene, and then continued working hygiene and decided that, okay, well, maybe I want to go back to school and become a teacher. So continued to try to get out of dental hygiene and went back and got my education degree. My son was about 5 years old, and I'm like, well, I don't want to change careers at this point. So then I worked at a federally qualified healthcare facility. So I took that kind of turn. So I had 2 bachelors and associates in dental hygiene, working at a federally qualified healthcare facility, and decided to move to Arizona. Now, Arizona is very different than Vermont in their philosophies. And so I started working for corporate dentistry. And along the way, since I was 18 years old, I've been a fitness instructor also. And so as I was at the gym one time, I was talking to someone, and this gentleman overheard me saying that I was a dental hygienist. And he said, hey, have you ever thought about being a consultant? And I'm like, actually, I have, because I was on the receiving end of consulting. And I was like, that would be such an awesome job to go in and kind of learn about how to help people with processes, because I've always just been an active learner and really want to help people and teach people. And so, understanding the flow of a dental office and helping people grow in that, this has always kind of been a passion. And then I didn't really understand, how my impact as a hygienist on the business side. Probably maybe 12 years in, we would have team meetings and we would talk a little bit about, fluoride or this or that or some production. But really, once I got recruited into Levin Group as a consultant, I was working at a company called Levin Group, and I started speaking. I started doing all of this training on leadership and learned about profit and loss statements and how to create manuals and policies. And I just dove right in and loved it. And so I've worked with about 300 practices or more now along the way. I started that in 2013. And then I actually worked as a consultant at Spear. Someone mentioned Spear earlier, and that's here in Scottsdale. And then 2018, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own consulting. I've been working, with all these other people, and I just want to be able to have my own time, do my own thing. And I've learned so much along the way. So I started Bridge the Gap Consulting. And then and then COVID came, and I started working for someone who I knew at Spear. They said, hey, can you come on and consult us hygienists on, they had 9 practices. And so I started doing some consulting with them. And then I started just going into different offices and really helping them with their systems and communication, developing my own curriculum and training protocols, going all over the country and just really helping them to facilitate how can we grow? What are morning meetings look like? What does team meeting look like? What does difficult discussions look like? So really the training aspect. COVID hit, kind of changed some things. And then I decided that, maybe the next step is practice ownership. So in Arizona, anybody can own a practice. You don't even have to have any kind of dental background. So I learned about acquisitions. I learned, what a broker was. I've been reading contracts. I've been helping other offices kind of facilitate those types of arrangements, and really what numbers to look for. What are the reportings that I need to look at to say, okay, is this a viable practice? Like, how am I going to know what practice that I want to buy? And so in May of 2023, I found this practice, and typically you would do it, you would go through a broker, you would have a list of different practices for sale. You look at that. Well, this one I found on actually just a website, kind of like a realtor.com, but it's called LoopNet. It's commercial businesses. And this dentist was selling his practice. And so he had 5 offices. This one he just really had neglected. And so I went in and I was like, this is the perfect size. Had 4 operatories. One of them, they just kind of had storage. It wasn't being utilized. They did not have a hygienist. And I hadn't been scaling teeth for a few years, but I'm like, okay, well, I can dust off my scalers and, and do this again. They did have a dentist. They did have some team members. So it took me about a month and bought the practice and started navigating through, okay, what does that look like? So if I can do it, you can do it. No doubt about it. There's, some things that you need to learn. And one is, there's an MPI number. So you need to get that for the practice. As a hygienist, it's different in Arizona than it is, like Shade was talking about, in California. So there are some differences. There is an affiliated hygienist in Arizona. So if you do want to do hygiene affiliated with a dentist outside of a practice, you can do that, but it's a specific license. I'm a registered dental hygienist. So as the practice owner, my dentist is my employee. He holds the malpractice. I hold the workers' comp, the liability, all those different insurances. He has his own NPI number, but the business has an NPI number. Specifically, it's called an NPI 2 number. So you need to get a business license. You need to, if you are going to be credentialed with insurances, you need to go through that process as a business owner. If you're going to keep the name, you really just have to kind of go to the commission, get a entity name, and sign up. It's really not hard to start a business here in Arizona to get your business license, but it takes some systems to follow. And then once you start, of course, there's the training the team. There's what are you going to do when patients come in? What are the letters that we send out to patients letting them know? So there's some logistics if you're taking over a practice versus a startup. So now coming up on 2 years here in 2025 of practice ownership, and it's really just been a ride. It's been interesting, and I wasn't, someone had mentioned earlier, if you'd asked me 10 years ago if I would have been doing this, I probably would have said no. It's really something that anybody can do. One thing that I love is that because I was getting burned out with it, I have my own schedule. I have an hour and a half for new patients, longer if I want. I do laser. We do our CEs. We have team meetings. The schedule is something that I own, and I can have that with the team. And so I train my team. Okay, when I'm perio charting, they come and help me. So all of these things that when we're working for someone else, we strive and we're like, oh, I wish I had someone to help me perio chart. Well, I've just trained them like that's what you do. When I'm perio charting, they come help me. When I'm doing x-rays, they come help me. When there's a new patient, we have a whole process that we go through. So all of these things that we really want to have when we're working for someone else, you can do when you have the practice yourself. The hardest part, I think, for me is when I was interviewing dentists. A lot of them don't want to work for hygienists. There's a little bit of an ego, and they were both male and female. So that was a little bit of a eye-opening experience. Was okay. Well, some of them just came out and said it, and some of them it was a little more obvious, but they didn't actually say it. And then, as far as the challenge of when I am working in there as the hygienist, and I'm actually the business owner, so I'm the colleague, I'm the their peer, but yet I'm still their boss. That can be a little bit difficult too, especially in a small office of there's just 4 of us. So really, what questions do you guys have about practice ownership? I know it's late. We've heard a lot of different things, and I'm in Mesa. I am on Power in the 60 in Mesa, Arizona. It's right in, if you're like right by Superstition Springs Mall, right across the street, that Target Plaza there. And by the way, Dr. Happy has done my Botox for me. So, and Elaine trained me on laser, and I love my laser.
How much does it cost to start up or buy a practice?
Depends on the practice size. I ended up paying cash for mine, $105,000, which is low. But we needed a new air conditioner. It really depends. You can buy one for $300,000. You can buy one for $1.2 million. So it goes by what the collections are and the valuations. So typically you do a valuation, a form of valuation, not evaluation, valuation. Because I had been doing consulting and this practice was such a on the lower end, I ended up doing it just the valuation myself instead of hiring someone. But typically you'd hire a lawyer, a broker, or someone to do that for you, because there are standards that you want to go by. Yeah, there's a huge range. Yeah, I mean the average for op, you're looking at about 300,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest hurdle to going to owning a practice? Like, is it getting financing? Is it getting, somebody to sell to you?
So one thing is there's a lot. So you need to know what reports you need to look for, because unfortunately you can be given a report that's incorrect because they didn't put in the right filters. So for example, active patient base, it can make it look like you have 2,500 patients if you run a report but don't put filters in. So there's certain things that you need to know to look for, and I'm happy to help anybody along that process. But so an active patient isn't just all the patients you have in your whole database. An active patient is a patient who's been in within a certain amount of time, that's been scheduled and actually showed up. So just because it shows you have 2,500 patients, you may only have 1,000 active patients. So those are those things that you kind of know that you need to look for. How many new patients are coming? Yes, I would be happy to talk to hygiene students for sure. you have to know how many new patients are coming in as emergencies versus coming in and staying established. What are the, there's like marketing analysis you want to do. You also want to look at the fee schedule. So when I first bought the practice, it had been around since 2014. It only had, well, it showed it had about 800 patients, which is very low. Like you mentioned earlier, Elaine, about a patient base, 1,200 to like 1,800 is a good patient flow for one doctor, 4 days a week, 1 or 2 hygienists. Okay. So 800 patients is what it was showing. They really had about 300 patients, and the majority were HMOs. Well, as a hygienist, having an HMO practice is just not feasible. Even as a dentist, it's hard, but there's certain things that as a hygienist, it's hard to do because you don't have that buffer. Where a doctor, I mean, they could buffer what's called your overhead, which are all your expenses. But with me, I have to pay the doctor regardless, right? So I don't really have that wiggle room. So as far as the hurdle with getting financing, so I did have someone want to buy my practice, and she was a hygienist. And so I just paid cash for mine. So I didn't have to deal with the financing, but yes, financing can be an issue for hygienists. I was talking to the broker, this one that was trying to purchase my practice. She didn't get financing because she was a hygienist. If she was a dentist, he said they would have given her the money. But so that's one thing, just having that. I mean, there may have been other factors as well, but that's what her broker had said to me. I think the biggest thing is that when you are trying to buy a practice, you can't really tell the team that that's happening if it's an existing practice, because for many reasons. So it makes it hard until the last minute for the incoming team to accept that they're being bought out. That to me is probably the biggest hurdle, is the team doesn't usually know until the very last minute. And I don't like that fact, but it's just kind of, it's business, and it kind of has to be that way. So when the team finds out, then there's all these factors of, they have to kind of reapply and get, what are you going to keep them the same pay? Are you going to go, if they had 401k or 401k, are you keeping that? So all of these unknown questions, that's probably the biggest hurdle if you're buying an existing practice.
Are there any other questions for Amy? Any other questions for Amy? I thank you so much, Amy. I think we need to have a CE on this topic, because there's so much more. I mean, there's a lot more to buying a practice, credentialing, hiring a doctor, onboarding, hiring assistants, giving them expectations, all of that. But you just do it, and you're natural born for it, because you've been in leadership roles already and you've wanted that opportunity. So I just think that it's great that if somebody wants to own a practice here in Arizona, they absolutely can. And you're not going to be any less successful because you're just the dentist, or you're just the hygienist, and you're not the dentist. And I foresee in the future hygiene only clinics, and so far, and I'm so excited to talk to Valerie next. So far, we have to have that doctor as a medical director, right, in place. So we're not completely independent. We have to have a doctor, that still oversees the charts and still does the formal diagnoses. So I understand. So I'm looking forward to what Valerie has to say on that. And
yes, I am still doing consulting. I do consulting and Champion Dentist. I'm working with Champion Dentist now. Elaine and I do some speaking events together as well. But yes, I am still doing consulting. And for a while I wasn't. I kind of put it on hold, only because I'm the hygienist there. So when I bought the practice, this whole OPA thing is very interesting, because when I bought the practice, there was no hygienist. And so you can imagine who was doing the cleanings. And so As far as OPAs, the rules and regulations, as a business owner, I do see some opportunity there. However, there's a whole nother conversation on that, but it's definitely, thank you for sharing that email. Feel free to reach out to me, you guys, anytime with questions. I'm happy to help you walk through the process. And if you do need consulting, for sure, reach out as well.
And if you need a teeth cleaning, a whitening, I go to her every 3 months. Every 3 months, she does laser, she does fluoride. Yes, I'm not worried about my pineal glands being calcified or my IQ dropping at this point. I see her every 3 months now, and it's a part of me taking care of myself. And my daughter goes to her, all her friends. She does a whitening treatment that is safe for people like me that have recession and super painful. So I whiten my teeth twice a year because you guys are terrifying, to speak in front of. And so we have to feel very at our best. So she whitens my teeth twice a year. She takes care of me. And thank you, Amy. So please go see her. Take care of yourselves, guys. We shouldn't be scaling our own teeth. We should be taking care of ourselves the way we expect our patients to take care of us. So I have an offer for you guys at the end if you're ready to stay in clinic with me in clinical practice, because I feel I wouldn't be anywhere that I am today if it wasn't for my clinical acumen and my clinical hygiene skills. And I still love clinical hygiene. And I myself want to be in the practice, but I want to be respected. I want to be appreciated. I want the patients to understand that I am an integrative oral health care provider. I'm not just here to scrape the shit off your teeth, literally. So I've gone through the ups and downs of the disrespect from the manager, the doctor, the assistants. It's all people problems, and it's all a matter of me learning how to carry myself and problem solve and strategize, treatment plan. I mean, there's so much more to that clinical hygiene role and that I still myself feel like I'm scratching the surface of. So now we finally end with Miss Valerie. Thank you so much, Valerie, for being here, and I'll let you take it away. And if you can please unmute, my dear. You look beautiful today, by the way. Even though it's so late. Looks good.
Thank you. I've been trying to rest. I've had a very long
Do you
day.
have slides, my dear?
Yes.
Okay,
it
let me
should
go
be
and
up.
stop share. Here we go.
Okay. So at the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association, we know that dental care is healthcare. Oral health is linked to systemic health. Neglecting oral health can increase the risk of other diseases, and dental care plays a crucial role in preventing and treating these conditions. The Arizona Dental Hygienists Association's vision has dental hygienists integrated into the healthcare delivery system as essential primary care providers. Our mission is to advance our profession and support dental hygienists' success in order to improve oral and overall health. Tonight, we will be reviewing how AZDHA has been advocating for Arizona dental hygienists for years in order to fulfill our vision and our mission. We're going to get into advanced dental hygiene roles, such as the affiliated practice dental hygienist and dental therapists. And finally, I will review the dental hygiene assessment and dental hygiene treatment plan. I guess I have a little bit of the drier stuff to go over with you.
I'm here for it.
So who am I? My name is Valerie Brady. I have been volunteering with the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association since late 2019. I started as an alternate delegate, then a delegate, and I've held positions as secretary and vice president. I was AZDHA president in 2023 and 2024. I am currently the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association's Advocacy Committee co-chair with my mentor, Deb Kappas, who unfortunately had to leave. She has provided the historical advocacy information I will be sharing tonight. First, affiliated practice dental hygienist. You guys know how I love me a timeline. So in 2004, House Bill 2194 was passed, which authorized Arizona dental hygienists to enter affiliated practice relationships with dentists. The stakeholders involved were the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association and the Arizona Dental Association. There were challenging negotiations with the Arizona Dental Association, which ultimately yielded success in expansion of our scope. Arizona dental hygienists now had a new career opportunity. But what are affiliated practice dental hygienists and who can become one? Let's take a look. Affiliated practice dental hygienists can perform all dental hygiene procedures within their scope except for root planing, administering anesthetic and nitrous, and placing of periodontal sutures. Services must be performed in affiliated practice settings. That's defined as the delivery of dental hygiene services by a dental hygienist under an affiliated practice relationship through a public health agency or institution, a public or private school authority, or a government-sponsored program that provides dental services. APDHs are limited to serving children, that's 18 years of age or older, who are enrolled in a federal, state, county, or local healthcare program, or participating in the National School Meal Program, or from a family with a household income that is less than 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. Services are performed pursuant to a written agreement, procedures, and standing orders. A dental hygienist must have held a license for at least 5 years and actively engaged in dental hygiene practice for at least 2,000 hours in the 5 years immediately preceding the affiliated practice relationship. So that was in 2004. In 2005 and 2006, the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association participated on the AP Rules Committee established by the Arizona Dental Board to write rules and create forms and procedures for the implementation of the affiliated practice law. There was disagreement regarding supervision and limits, so the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association challenged the boards and the Arizona Dental Association's position that existing supervision limits on hygienists applied to AP practice, to affiliated practice, and questioned whether the board even had the authority to limit the number of affiliated practice relationships a dentist could enter. 3 questions were posed to the Arizona Attorney General. We asked, do the supervision requirements in Arizona Statute 32-1281 apply to affiliated practice relationships? And the Attorney General's answer was no. The general and direct supervision requirements do not apply to affiliated practice relationships. Do the supervision limitations in Arizona Administrative Code R4-11603 apply to affiliated practice relationships? The Attorney General's answer, no, they do not apply to affiliated practice relationships. Is the board authorized to adopt a rule limiting the number of affiliated practice relationships in which dentists and/or dental hygienists may participate? The Attorney General's summary, yes. 32-1289 G2 authorizes the board to set limits by rule as standards and conditions that may apply to affiliated practice relationships. Now, this same language can be found in 32-1289 1K. After the Attorney General made their position known, rules were finally adopted that established continuing education requirements, a limit of 15 agreements that a dentist may enter into, an unlimited number for public health, government, and nonprofits, and a substitute dentist provision. In 2007, affiliated practice dental hygienists are eligible to become access providers and receive direct reimbursement. The affiliated practice dentist must also be an access provider. Access is the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System. It is Arizona's Medicaid agency that offers healthcare programs to serve Arizona residents. In 2009, the affiliated practice law is amended to remove the patient age restriction. Adults can now be treated by APDHs. 2015 was a big year. SB 1282, which is a dental omnibus bill, is jointly supported by the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association and the Arizona Dental Association. It makes numerous improvements. Let's quickly look at those. So SB 1282, the bill made numerous improvements. It's reducing the number of practice hours required by the dental hygienist before entering into the AP relationship. It's now 500 hours in each of the previous 2 years. It adds the option of a bachelor's degree in dental hygiene. You must have held the license for 3 years rather than 5, and still have those 500 hours of practice in the 2 years preceding. It permits consultation with the affiliated practice dentist for the affiliated practice dental hygienist to continue to treat patients who have not seen the dentist since a last visit with the APDH. It expands and clarifies potential settings for affiliated practice. It eliminates all financial qualifiers for AP treatment and added a provision that prohibits a dentist in an AP relationship from permitting more than 3 APDHs to provide services at any one time. 2017 brought us SB 1362, another dental omnibus bill. On that one, affiliated practice dental hygienist is defined as able to initiate treatment limited by scope of practice based on assessment and conditions pursuant to a written agreement with a dentist. And it eliminates the number of years to have held a dental hygiene license prior to entering into AP agreement, but it retains the requirement of having practiced the 500 hours in the preceding 2 years. In 2019, HB 2058 expanded affiliated practice dental hygienist scope by authorizing them to supervise dental assistants. In 2021, HB 2547 changes affiliated practice law. Now, the AP agreement must identify the conditions under which the APDH may administer local anesthesia and provide root planing. The AP agreement must identify the circumstances under which the APDH must consult with the AP dentist before initiating further treatment on patients who have not been seen by a dentist within 12 months after the initial treatment by the dental hygienist. But previously, the APDH always had to consult. So this was a win. And it increases the number of AP hygienists who can provide services at any one time from 3 to 6. And we, AZDHA, attempted to eliminate that specific restriction, but surprise, opposition from then Representative Regina Cobb threatened the bill's passage. So ultimately, that compromise, switching it from 3 to 6, was reached and the bill passed. In addition to all these legislative efforts, we have advocated for additional billing codes to be opened to affiliated practice dental hygienists by access. We have engaged in significant education and promotion of the AP dental hygienists as a delivery model. We attempted to establish an AP community of practice for the network, for the purpose of networking, support, and professional growth. We have offered support to APDHs working with Delta Dental to explore commercial insurance billing by the APDH. The status of that one is unknown. And in 2016, we conducted an extensive survey of dental hygienists with several questions targeting AP. We learned that the top 3 barriers or deterrents were finding a dentist to enter into an AP agreement, identifying an appropriate setting, and then receiving compensation. Let's talk dental therapy. In 2018, the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association joined a broad and bipartisan coalition. Our AZDHA Advocacy Committee members were instrumental in crafting the legislation, relying heavily on their experience with the affiliated practice, and they lobbied for the dental therapy law's passage. The Arizona Dental Association was adamantly opposed, but there were many stakeholders. So I think it's easier if I show you the list. This legislation was spearheaded by the Dental Care for Arizona Coalition and supported by Pew Charitable Trusts and the Pivotal Consulting Group, lobbying group in Phoenix. As you see, the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association was represented along with these other champions for dental therapy. So when we all get together, things can actually happen. So dental therapists are an applicant for dental therapy licensure is required to be a licensed dental hygienist, a graduate from an accredited dental therapy education program, and must pass a clinical exam and the Arizona jurisprudence exam. The law requires dental therapy education to be accredited by the American Dental Association Commission on Dental Accreditation, or CODA, the same organization that accredits dental hygiene and dental programs. It defines a scope of practice that is consistent with that established in the CODA standards for dental therapy education programs. A couple examples of that scope is oral evaluations, radiographs, all preventive services, limited restorative procedures, including simple non-surgical extractions, direct restorations, preformed crowns on primary teeth, pulp capping, and then minor adjustments on removable prosthesis, etc. It limits dental therapists to practicing in federally qualified health centers, or FQHCs, or FQHC lookalikes, community health centers, nonprofit dental practices that provide care to low-income and underserved populations, or private dental practices that provide care for community health center patients of record. It allows dental therapists to work under direct supervision of a dentist or pursuant to a written collaborative practice agreement after practicing 1,000 hours under direct supervision. It limits to 4 the number of collaborative practice agreements that a dentist can enter into with dental therapists. So the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association's work doesn't end in May when the legislative session does. In early August of 2018, AZDHA was well represented at the Tribal Dental Therapy Forum titled Implementing the New Arizona Dental Therapy Law. It brought together healthcare professionals, policymakers, tribal and state leaders, Indian Health Service or IHS administrators, urban Indian organizations, and other dental therapy stakeholders to discuss this new Arizona dental therapy law. So throughout 2018, AZDHA worked with Northern Arizona University and AT Still and ASDO on potential curriculum for an Arizona dental therapy education program. Meetings between our groups were held at least 3 times to formally discuss. And unfortunately, the communication broke down there. AZDHA representatives joined Dr. Cottom from AT Still University to explore dental therapy employment opportunities at El Rio Community Health Center in Tucson. In 2019, AZDHA was invited to the Arizona Dental Therapy Education Forum, hosted by Pivotal Consulting and the Intertribal Council of Arizona, or ITCA. For the next couple of years, 2020 and 2021, we continued to work closely with other stakeholders. The Board of Dental Examiners, or BODEX, finally engaged in rulemaking for the implementation of the dental therapy law. Numerous meetings were held to craft the new rules and make other modifications and updates to the code. The Arizona Board of Dental Examiners eventually filed its notice of final rulemaking for dental therapy with an effective date of July 10th, 2023. I know this is a lot of mumbo jumbo to some of you, but hang in there with me. What I'm about to say is really important. I'm here to spread the word on the opportunities that are made possible by the work of the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association. But that's just a name, I'm talking about our Arizona dental hygiene volunteers, the people who have been in the trenches for years, decades, like Deb Kappas, and so many others. There are experiences that you will get when you give back to your profession. The people that you're going to meet, the places that you're going to go, the thoughts that you're going to consider, the presentations that you'll end up giving. Our association struggles to fight battles today because we don't have the people. Back then, in 2021, Deb was invited to join the National Dental Therapy Model Rule Panel. What's that? a group of 15 experts with extensive experience in regulation of dental professions, administrative law, tribal law, and dental therapy. This was a project of the National Partnership for Dental Therapy, which is co-chaired by Community Catalyst, the National Indian Health Board, and the National Coalition of Dentists for Health Equity. So that panel came up with the Model Dental Therapist Rule and Best Practices Guide that was released in January of 2022. Following that, in December of 2023, Deb joined Kristen Bellini of Pivotal Consulting to present during a gathering entitled Dental Therapy, Expanding the Dental Team and Increasing Access to Care, sponsored by the Arizona Alliance for Community Health Centers. AZDHA's presentation was titled Dental Therapy in Arizona: What, Scope, Where, Practice Types, How, Pathways to Licensure. AZDHA, via Deb Kappas and the Advocacy Committee, have been involved with dental therapy since 2018. We have been trying to get the word out about the opportunities that are available, yet as of June 30th of 2024, Bodex reports they have issued 2 dental therapy licenses. Why? The American Dental Therapy Association says there are currently 4 dental therapy programs in the United States, 1 in Alaska, 1 in Washington, and 2 in Minnesota, with only 1 of those being CODA accredited. But that CODA accreditation is important in Arizona, because Arizona revised statute states graduates from a dental therapy education program that is accredited by or holds an initial accreditation from the ADHA CODA and that is offered through an accredited higher education institution recognized by the United States Department of Education. We have been participating in the dental therapy implementation learning community. It was previously Pew's Dental Therapy State Leaders Group. It is coordinated by Laura Brannon from Community Catalyst. They're a wonderful strategic partner because they imagine a society where health is a right for all. The group meets quarterly via Zoom for 1 hour. The last meeting was April 10th, a Thursday, during regular business hours, and AZDHA was unable to attend. They often discuss federal updates and how they're likely to impact dental therapy. They do spend time on state updates and discussion. The Arizona Dental Hygienists Association is searching for someone to represent us at this meeting. There's also another group focused on implementing a dental therapy education program, and we feel this is relevant for us in Arizona based on our conversations with AT Still and with ASDO. All of these meetings are great networking and learning opportunities for anyone interested in promoting dental therapy. We're almost there. Dental hygiene assessment and treatment planning. As registered dental hygienists, it's important that we keep up to date on the Arizona revised statutes. Let's take a quick tour. My purple arrow is going to show you the Arizona revised statutes 32, 12, 81. Practicing as dental hygienists, supervision requirements, definitions. You should be bookmarking this page. Section A person is deemed to be practicing as a dental hygienist if the person does any of the acts or performs any of the operations included in the general practice of dental hygienists, dental hygiene, and all related and associated duties. Section B, a licensed dental hygienist may perform the following. Big long list. Check it out another time. So section B under number 11 is talking about the dental hygiene assessment and dental hygiene treatment planning as components of a diagnosis and treatment plan developed by a dentist. So all of this information, this change to our scope came about in 2023. We tried originally in 2022, but the Arizona Dental Association fought us. So in 2023, we came back and changed assessment, swapped assessment in for diagnosis. And then if you look at section J, for the purposes of this article, that's all definitions. You see what assessment means. Then look at number 2, dental hygiene assessment means identifying an existing or potential oral health problem that dental hygienists are educationally qualified and licensed to treat. 3, dental hygiene treatment planning means performing a prioritized sequence of dental hygiene interventions that is predicated on the dental hygiene assessment and that is limited to those services included in the scope of practice for dental hygienists. This is according to the American Dental Hygienists Association, or ADHA. I want to highlight that Oregon state statute from 2004, when we were fighting to get AP RDHs, in 2004, Oregon got a statute that specifically includes diagnosis within the definition of dental hygiene. Oregon state statute permits dental hygienists to diagnose, treatment plan, and provide dental hygiene services. Under Colorado state statute from 2009, dental hygiene diagnosis means the identification of an existing oral health problem that a dental hygienist is qualified and licensed to treat within the scope of dental hygiene practice. This was our inspiration. In Arizona, dental hygiene assessment means identifying an existing or potential oral health problem that dental hygienists are educationally qualified and licensed to treat. So, samesies. We may not have the word diagnosis here in Arizona. The Arizona Dental Association fought hard against that, but we have assessment. At AZDHA, we know that dental care is healthcare. AZDHA has been advocating for Arizona dental hygienists and Arizona patients for years. We have completed reviewing the advanced dental hygiene rules, which AZDHA has helped create. So now I ask you, are you ready to join us? We've got some events coming up, and we're currently battling at the Capitol for the Dentist and Dental Hygienist Compact. Towards the end of the summer, the Advocacy Committee is going to meet to discuss the 2026 legislative agenda. Arizona dental hygienists and members of ADHA are welcome. So what do we have upcoming? ADHA has partnered with Dr. Joy Boyd Holmes to bring her in-person single-day program titled P3, Precision Power Prevention, to Scottsdale on Friday, June 13th. Registrants are going to receive 5.5 CE credits. The hours are about 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and you can register at adha.com. On the right here, the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association's biggest fundraiser of the year is most of the funds that we receive from our Impact Conference go towards our biggest bill, which is advocacy. This is in August 15th through the 17th at the Omni Scottsdale Resort and Spa. And we're going back to the 80s. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Valerie? Does anybody, there was a comment, the ADA would rather let assistants diagnose before allowing hygienists. I wanted to talk about real quick how, and I saw in a lot of the chats, the lower income, how a lot of these bills include lower income, federally qualified health centers. That is unfortunately just a bargaining tool to get legislators on board, because legislators always want to say that they're helping the most vulnerable, and they feel that they're passing these laws will do that. So a lot of the times these specific qualifications are put in there as a way to encourage legislators to support bills. I saw that, where they're saying we are in an underserved population. No, we're not. We're just working around a community where there are there's a scarcity of good offices that can facilitate a high performance hygienist who wants to come in and enhance the practice, grow the practice, and add value. And I think Bethany started to say something that she wasn't very well received when she came in and wanted to make changes in her practice. And advocacy is one thing, but we also have to understand the scope of our laws because a lot of dentists do not understand what it means to employ a dental hygienist and what they can or cannot do.
Yeah.
So I will say that in all my years of me trying to enhance my progress and bring new things back to the practice, not everybody wants a high performer. So not only is it important for us to invest in advocacy and support the groups that are there to expand our scope and become more clear on what we can and can't do and what we should be doing. We have to look at what is that clinical role and where can we improve? You know, I had to meet with myself on many, many levels. So can you put in the chat, Valerie, the links to those two events? Because I think I saw somebody ask. Oh, okay, Kim Van did. Great.
Yeah. And then in Arizona, we do not have a dental therapy program yet. Things have been slow going, unfortunately.
How many hours do you think that would be once it becomes like compared to others? How many hours?
Oh, as far as like dental therapy, other dental therapy courses.
Yeah, curriculum.
You know what? I can't say that I actually looked into that specifically. But I know that in other states, dental therapy is more of like a master's degree. So it is just it's more education. It's not necessarily like a certification, you know? It's almost like a specializing.
Like a-
When is Arizona going to actually open a course? When the schools do it, when they get enough people harassing them that they should be making a dental therapy course because we have, you know, ASDO and we have AT Still, we have NAU, we have Midwestern, like we have so many dental programs that it should when we thought about it in 2018 we thought that it would actually take off and even AP dental hygienists hadn't taken off that much. So I'm on the journey to let everybody know that, you know, we have been advocating for you for decades. And yes, we lost the battle or you know, compromised on OPAs, but that doesn't change the fact that we at AZDHA, we set up Arizona dental hygienists for success.
I agree. I agree. And I'm so eternally grateful for, you know, hopefully this panel shows that there's been a lot of wiggle room for us in, you know, these Western states, and particularly here in Arizona, that we've been able to work within a broader scope of practice. I can see the difference when I go to office states to teach where they're under direct supervision. There's a lot more micromanagement and there's a little less wiggle room for them to think on their own. It's almost like, let me go ask my doctor. Let me go ask my doctor. So I always say that Arizona is, and still in my opinion will always be, the best state to practice in because we have such a broad scope of practice. I wasn't a fan of when we reduced the hours of CE that we're required to have because I feel like that's only strengthened our learnability and our coachability to have to take so many hours of continuing education, keeps us in that mindset of learning and growing. And so, and believe me, I'm constantly trying to I'm constantly trying to challenge my brain in different ways and doing different things because we do get complacent. Like the mind is meant to keep us comfortable and in hemostate or homeostasis, that safe place. So it is uncomfortable to learn and grow. So there are, I'm greatly appreciative of everything that the Arizona ADHA has done. And I wonder how many of us have been swayed after these last two classes that we've hosted here between this one and the part one. How many of us are more swayed to go out to these events and support? Maybe you're not needing the credits. Maybe you have a speaker there that you want to see, but either way, those monies go to a good cause. It goes to the advocacy, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
there's clinical courses now being offered. I think that's great.
Yeah, with the nationwide drop in membership to ADHA and AZDHA by proxy, but also to just all professional associations, we are all hurting. And we have definitely, in Arizona, when I was president, we had to have very serious conversations about our budget and whether or not we would continue to spend the majority of our budget on advocacy. And if the board members were here, they would second me that I have always said that advocacy is the reason that AZDHA, that Arizona dental hygienists have such a broad scope, and so many things have been put into play 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the Botox situation, that little blurb in statute, and along with other services not listed in this big long list,
Yeah.
that was put in like 92. And we were able to use it in 2023, 2024 with the Attorney General to decide, yep, you know what, you're right. Because the dentist can add that to their scope, so can you. And so you can see that AZDHA has brought issues to the Attorney General when we have felt like we had no other avenue. But don't get it twisted. Going to the Attorney General takes a lot of money because you have to get an opinion from a lawyer, and that costs money. So, we're always investing in Arizona dental hygienists. And I know that at the national level, ADHA is looking for autonomy, in our near future. So it is the perfect time to be a dental hygienist because we are about to embark on this public service announcement journey of educating the public on what dental hygienists do and why we are such preventive specialists.
I think this is great. And so as we come to a close, I want to congratulate you guys for making it so that there was provisos in place for the OPAs. I mean, we saw from Lori how it was just kind of like thrown out there and there was no safeguards put in place. So that's a plus. I want to thank all the panelists for coming out tonight who kind of highlighted just how important it is for us to elevate our leadership skills, our communication skills, and our ability to direct and guide a lower level auxiliary team member, because that is our future of dental hygiene. We have to be able to guide and control, oversee, and supervise even if we don't want to. And if that is not in your wheelhouse or in your preference and you don't want it, you probably don't have to, because I don't think we're going to be saturated with OPAs, in my opinion. I don't really see dental assistants taking that pathway. And I can tell you, of the doctors who I work with, who take my classes, who I go in and do private trainings for, they highly value the hygienist and they need them. They wouldn't even consider hiring an OPA, if not to just maybe assist the hygienist. But I don't foresee that happening at all. And so this is why I'm really, really grateful for people like Sade and Sarah to come out here and talk about those different clinical pathways if you so choose it. And Valerie's going to be on. I would ask you guys to please stay on for 5 more minutes so that I can just kind of wrap us up and close us up. And Valerie, thank you so much, my dear. I'm greatly appreciated for you. And just briefly about me, I hate talking about myself and it's just embarrassing, but I actually started off as a dental assistant and then I became a hygienist, and that transition psychologically was hard because now I'm in a leadership role. Now the doctor's coming to me and asking me for questions. Now I'm responsible and in charge of the patient. So there was a big shift that needed to happen within myself in my leadership communication, the way I carried myself, my patience level for people. So there was a huge, I always say dentistry like shaped me and helped me evolve and grow as a person. Now, it wasn't until my daughter became about a teenager that I knew I had to up my communication skills with her and control this little wild beast, that I knew I needed to improve in the way I approach her, the way I talk to her, the way I negotiate with her and guide her and lead her. And so I feel like my motherhood has really helped me as a clinician. And now, as we grow and learn and advance, as we age into dentistry, right, and it shapes us, there are ups and downs, and I've had several of them, like I've said, and I've done private kind of collectives where we talk about a lot of the problems that we face from working with doctors who are still kind of suppressive and micromanaging, or maybe they themselves don't have the emotional intelligence to lead the practice. I've worked with, in practices where I didn't get along with the team members, and I've had to kind of overcome and take a shift and figure out where is it in me that I need to kind of change and be more of a leader and be more of a role model versus kind of in my little corner, my bubble and survival mode. So there's a lot of things there. And then as I came into having this business, of course, we're dental laser integrations and we do certification and team training. Even just the act of starting a business and starting a brand and taking that business to the marketplace. I've had dentists that haven't paid me. Okay. I've had hygienists who took the course on good, faith and they didn't pay me. So the issues that you see in clinical practice, they're going to be out there in the real world too. So me personally, I'm not going to worry about the obstacles. I'm going to just try to find the pathway. And that's what I want us to do today is like, what can I do to not worry about the naysayers? Because they're never going to respect us. But while the people who don't respect us now, they never are. And we are wasting our energy to try to reverse the bill or try to get the doctors to see that we have value and supragingival scaling is necessary. That's kind of, in my mind, a waste of energy. I love that Valerie said we're going to just go to the public. Let's educate the public on what a hygienist is, what a good cleaning entails, and that involves us. So the last event, I created a slide deck that had like a list of post your license, excuse me, introduce yourself to the patient. Hi, I'm the dental hygienist. I work closely with the doctor the same way a nurse practitioner works with a medical doctor. I'm going to be taking care of you today to do your ... treatment. So there are things that we can do. And I'm really hoping that we don't let this kind of like stay heavy on our energy because we have enough. There's so many other things that we have to worry about. And I know that I needed to level up and become unbothered by the things that happened in the clinical op. So I wasn't taking it home to my family. And I could cry because my daughter is like going to be 18 now. And it's like, how many years did I spend coming home so angry and mad and not being able to be like fully present, So I think that is why I host these so that you guys can kind of see the pathway of people that have gone the entrepreneur role or people like who have gone the advocacy role or ownership. But if you're like me, and I'll wrap it up here, if you're like me and you have really no desire to go own your own practice, you just want to be respected and valued where you are, we have to know the numbers. We have to know the business side of dentistry. And lasers for me were like a saving grace because I no longer had to worry about like my daily production goal. I just knew all I have to do is focus on assessing. And there's our keyword, the assessment. Just focus on the assessment, Elaine. Who cares, if you sound like you're selling something? Just educate them on the treatment, educate them on the disease. And that's actually our motto in our class. Sell the patient on the disease, not the laser. Because if you're trying to sell a laser treatment, it's not going to really resonate with the patient. You have to really kind of assess them as a human, as a patient, as a body of inflammation or disease or whatever it is that you deem, necessary. And so my top 3 takeaways for you guys will be to make sure you have a solid handle on what is the periodontal diagnosis and get on the same page with your doctor. Right now, today, what is prophy? Is it 323? With 0 pocketing, 0 bleeding? what is a gingivitis prophy? Is it generalized 4 millimeters with 0 bone loss? And what is SRP? So let's align to that. And that's why you see kind of like a little probe there. Then it's the oral cancer screening. I know so many of us are pressed for time. And when I ask new grads, how are you doing with your time management? They're like, oh, I don't really do the EOIO. And I'm just like, oh my God, like that is what disarms my patient and makes them open to receiving my clinical care is when I just kind of start with doing a thorough EOIO and running through and explaining to them what I'm doing. So that's my secret sauce is disarming them with good medical history interviewing and really good EOIO. And I know maybe some of you guys do the same. And then it becomes the scanner. I know when the scanner came to the market, we were like, F word, another thing for us to do. And it took me like 20 minutes to get an IO scan, intraoral scan. But my doctor wanted photos of every single tooth. And he would let me bring my kid to work, and let her lay on this little like puppy pillow and she'd just sleep all day. She was sick. And then gradually as she got older, I'd be like, if you throw up at school, you better rinse your mouth and get back to class because I'm not missing work anymore, So it's like he let me kind of have some wiggle room. So I felt like a loyalty to that doctor. And so he wanted intraoral photos of every tooth. F it, we did it. We did intraoral photos of every single tooth, right? So I feel like the iTero scanner was like a saving grace because it was all in one and all of the, and so I also just love technology, okay? And so the laser, you can do so many different treatments with it. How many of you guys are doing TMJ, doing perio, doing quads on every gingivitis prophy where their gums are bleeding like murder, So those are the kind of things that I do that I'm adding $200, $300, $400, $500 a day just on a couple of laser treatments. And that's why I can be a top paid hygienist. And so it's hard to break through $60 an hour, but with the right negotiation and with the right setup and the right commission scale, you guys also got to kind of break away from thinking, oh, I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell to my patients. Insurance. Yeah, that's all good and well and true. But if I can get a snowbird that rolls up to the office from Canada in their RV, to pay for the laser treatment out of pocket, and they're like, a 100-year-old dinosaur who doesn't want to pay for dental, anybody can. There's nothing special about me. I just stayed really consistent. I leaned on the technology, I embraced it, and I also made sure I negotiated because nobody, since I've been 18, I've been in the dental field, and none of them have ever come to me and said, Elaine, you're doing such an amazing job. I want to pay you what you're worth. I always had to ask for it, right? So I'm going to end there. We have a class coming up. It's worth 8 credits. It's partial business training, partial hands-on. I feel like it's a great refresher for anybody who has been certified. It's not like using your laser every visit, every patient. So I'll send that info out. It's a pop-up. So we're not going to do it again. It's just like around the corner in 3 weeks. So if you guys want to get in there, I'll send you like a discount code and it'll end up being like $250 for 8-hour day. And we'll have lunch and we'll network and all of that business. And I'd like to now invite everybody to come, like put your cameras on again and just like closing remarks, anybody closing remarks. And thank you guys. Our doctor doesn't charge for laser. Well, why the heck not? Why not? Are we in philanthropy? We are, but I'm fully okay with it being a service-based, business. Do you need it? If not, okay. But he should be paying you if you're doing it for free and doing it on everybody, then your pay should reflect that. So I would love to hear from Amy. Any closing remarks?
Thank you so much for this opportunity to come on here and talk to you guys. Elaine, you're amazing. Everybody on this panel is amazing, and everybody in the chat. I mean, we took this time to come together as a collaboration of professionals who just want to better the lives of our patients. And so, so I hope you all come to the Powerhouse Hygiene pop-up in a couple weeks, because it's going to be a fun event. And I'm just super excited for more of these opportunities to come together and just learn more about the different opportunities and get to meet y'all.
Thank you, Amy. And how about Miss Sarah Hornsby? Sarah, maybe she stepped away from her computer. And Miss Valerie, any closing remarks, anything to leave us with?
Definitely reach out if you are interested in joining one of the Arizona Dental Hygienists Association's committees. We are always looking for volunteers. We need volunteers. If we had more people, we could do more things. As a president, I always had champagne dreams with a malt alcohol budget of people. So it would be amazing if I had champagne people.
Exactly. Thank you, Valerie, so much. And thank you
Maybe you need tequila. Maybe that's the trick, is tequila. No,
that's an idea there. So what is the rate for localized site of laser treatment per quad? So it depends on the area. So if you're in a lower income area, charge around $50 per quad. I've had clients in like Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, the heart of, Dallas, Fort Worth, downtown Dallas, that are charging $300 a quad or $300 for the full mouth. So you have to kind of know your area, and you have to so charge $1 million. I always say charge $1 million if you want, but the way you approach the patient and your clinical skills and your chairside manner and your verbiage better match, what you're charging that patient. So your patient will perceive you the same way we look at like a restaurant. Is it clean? Is there good service here? Blah, blah, blah. Like it's a difference in a sophisticated clinical hygiene environment versus, somebody who's just like, would you like to have the laser today? And like there's a big difference there. So yeah. So
I charge $65 for LBR for whole mouth and $50 per quadrant in Mesa, Arizona, and nobody ever says no. I mean, like it's just part of what we do. If it's a 43, 46, it's with laser, and I mean, we just make it affordable for them, and they pay it, and whether they have cash pay or insurance doesn't cover it, and they just pay it.
Yeah, and they have
I work in Scottsdale, and we are charging right now $50 for the full mouth, and then $50 per quad if it's in, laser assisted periodontal therapy.
And imagine 50 a day times 8 patients. If you're seeing 8 patients a day, that's covering your dental pay. That's covering your pay for the day. So when you are a laser hygienist using it consistently and cohesively, you don't have to, like, I was making $60 an hour like 5 years ago before I stepped away from clinical hygiene. And even before then, 10 years ago, I was making $100 an hour on commission. And that was on a low day, $100 an hour. But I had to break through the mental barrier of I'm selling to the patient, and, they don't only want what insurance covers. So there was a lot of like mental breakthrough that I had to go through in order to kind of get to that point. But yeah, so thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to own yourself as a clinician, as a provider, and like you said, Elaine, that starts with assessment. If I don't pick up my probe, I don't know where I need to focus, where I need to say, hey, this is going on in this area. And I'm a clinical hygienist. I run late every day. I don't like to, but I do. It's the story of my life. But what I say to my patients, and I don't know if any of you work with Dentrix, and they just had a new update. Dentrix now gives you a bleeding index at the top of your perio chart. And I already was doing math bringing up my calculator and telling patients, all right, this is your percentage. But today was the first day that I was able to see that bleeding index on there, that we had the update. And that is a game changer. If you are assessing your patient every time, you can track the changes that occur. And when you do that, and then you say, Mr. Smith, based on what I'm seeing that your bleeding index went up, I would like to recommend LBR today. I think it's going to be beneficial for you. They go, yeah, I agree. I don't like those fours, So you have to make the patient a part of the solution.
Exactly. And I'm going to put this event up one more time for anybody who's interested in the Powerhouse pop-up. And then, yes, you guys are all going to get your CEs. I know everybody signed in already. That's great. If you're listening from the YouTube and you have, I know you guys listen to Joe Rogan and his podcasts are like 5 hours long. So thank you for being here and listening from the YouTube if that's you. And on the show notes, you can find the link to the CE. It will be 3.5 credits for this one. So it was just too good. And I didn't want to rush anybody. And there was way more that we could have said. And hopefully I'll be able to host these wonderful women, these powerhouse women, and hygienists and professionals in another format. So thank you all. I hope you guys got a lot of value tonight. I really, truly do. Can I just get you, Valerie and Amy, just waving because I have to do better to get the socials. So here we go. Thank you. Woo, and the thumbs up. Like a nerd. Okay. Thank you guys. Good night, everybody. I hope you guys got value. If you want to see other CEs, please let me know. Please let me know what you want to see and who you want to see, and I will do my best. I will do my best. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you all. And good night.
Good night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.
That's so good. I appreciate you coming out, my friend. Thank you, Valerie. We have to go to lunch soon. And thank you, Sarah. I think you're there. Probably stepped away with her family. All right. Good night, Amy. Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.